Chapter 1418. Guide Lu Jian never expected that there would be such an awesome person here. Even their magic mirror sect master, immortal Emperor Devil Mirror, has to be polite to this mysterious person. He is simply like an ancestor. Lu Jian, you know what to do now? Immortal Emperor Devil Mirror's voice, filled with anger, came out. I know. Lu Jian really wants to fight Long Ruoheo to the death, but he almost caused their deaths. Lu Jian put away the magic mirror and said very respectfully, "Thank you for saving my life. Please forgive this lowly one's previous mistakes. I will do my best to make up for it." Xiao Xianxin knows that Qin Yun is very capable. He once tore down a sun altar and also knows that it is the inscription Profound Sect. However, she never expected that such a young man would be able to make immortal Emperor Devil Mirror attach such importance to him. All of you get up. From now on, you will listen to Big Sister Xiao. Qin Yun said, Yes. Lu Jian heaved a sigh of relief in his heart, and then slowly stood up. He quickly ran to Xiao Xianxin and knelt down to apologize. Xiao Xianxin never expected that these earth immortals, whose strength is on par with hers, would kneel down and apologize in such a humble manner. It can be seen that they are truly afraid of immortal Emperor Devil Mirror. All of you get up. I am preparing to leave the city, but I am worried that the Lan family will not let us leave the city smoothly. When the time comes, you will help open the way. Xiao Xianxin said. She also decided to bring Qin Yun into the depths of the Blue Leaf Sacred Forest. All right, we will definitely help open the way. After Lu Jian stood up, he said with a smile, Big Sister Xiao, don't worry. We're still quite strong. Blue Sky City's Magic Mirror Pavilion's supervisor will arrive soon. Are you guys really reliable? The enemy you are facing is the Lan family. This is the Lan family's territory. Xiao Yuelon lightly snorted and said, Of course we are reliable. Lu Jian said very heroically. Those guys from the Lan family are still quite afraid of our magic mirror sect. Of course they don't dare to stop us. Xiao Xianxin said, Then let's leave the city now. Xiao Yuelon nodded, then walked over and pulled Qin Yun's hand and walked out of the small building. After Lu Jian and the others went out, they took out a car and let Qin Yun, Xiao Yuelon, and Xiao Xianxin sit inside while they followed beside them. Xiao Xianxin controlled the carriage to leave Blue Sky City. On the way, Long Ruoheo and the Lan family kept contacting Lu Jian. Lu Jian could only hold the vibrating mirror and escort the carriage. They ignored the Lan family and Long Ruoheo. The Lan family seemed to know that something had gone wrong and quickly sent someone over. Not far from the city gate, the carriage was suddenly surrounded. Lu Jian, what's wrong with you? Why are you ignoring us? A middle-aged man asked. Lu Jian looked at the carriage worriedly. He was ready to go all out and fight. Only by doing so could he atone for his crimes. Qin Yun suddenly sent voice transmission to Lu Jian. Secretly tell that guy that you injured us and want to deal with it secretly. Don't want to implicate others. I don't want the Lan family to suffer the revenge of the Moon Palace. Lu Jian was just about to take out his weapon when he heard Qin Yun's words. His eyes lit up, and he immediately sent a voice transmission to the captain of the Lan family's team, informing him of the severity of the situation. That captain is secretly startled. He did not expect that Lu Jian would actually dare to attack the Moon Palace's people. In order to not implicate the Lan family, he hastily let them go. He didn't even dare to check the situation inside the carriage and acted as if he didn't know anything. Lu Jian secretly admires that old master in his heart and quickly escorted the carriage out of the city. However, not long after they left the city and entered the Blue Forest, a large group of people flew out. Stop that carriage! Someone suddenly shouted. Lu Jian and his group realized that they are in trouble and promptly took out their weapons. The people flying over are all Lan family's people. They are all wearing Lan family's armor. They're not the team from before. Lu Jian, what's wrong with you? You received young Master Long's benefits. Why didn't you follow young Master Long's instructions? Even if you injured them, you should have handed them over to young Master Long. The middle-aged leader said in cold voice. Old Lan, come here. Lu Jian said in low voice. After that middle-aged man went over, Lu Jiayin slapped him and sent him flying. Lu Jiayin furiously shouted, "Long your mother's young master. What do I want to do has nothing to do with you. Don't tell me your Lan family wants to ride on my magic mirror sex head. You, are you crazy? Quickly capture them." The middle-aged man who was sent flying furiously shouted, "There are more than 10 Lan family people and only 2 Earth Immortals. Lu Jiayin and his group have 5 Earth Immortals. You want to capture us with just these few people?" Lu Jiayin furiously said. They all took out their weapons. Very quickly, another group of people suddenly flew over. Their clothes are all carved with dragons. Among them are 10 formidable Earth Immortals. Lu Jiayin, didn't I give you benefits? You took my benefits, but did not do anything. You are courting death. The cold and arrogant youth surrounded by the 10 Earth Immortals said, "He is Long Ruoheo. You only told us to take the broken magic mirror and cause trouble for Xiao Xianqin. We want to cause trouble for Xiao Xianqin, but after the magic mirror was repaired, this matter ended just like that." Lu Jian sneered and said, "We signed a soul contract. If I didn't do as you said, I would have definitely suffered a backlash from the contract." Long Ruoheo and the Lan family people all believe that Lu Jiayin must have received some benefit from Xiao Xianqin, so he escorted her out of the city. They know that there is a mysterious man beside Xiao Xianqin who can take out a core fragment. Xiao Xianqin suddenly walked out of the carriage and coldly looked at Long Ruoheo. She shouted, "Does your Long family want to publicly oppose the Guanghan Palace?" Long Ruoheo chuckled. "Miss Xiao, I just want you to lead the way for us so that we can safely enter the depths of the Blue Leaf Sacred Forest. It's not like I won't give you a reward." "I'm too lazy," Xiao Xianqin said angrily. "What right do you have to force me to do something I don't want to do? If you have the ability, then enter the Blue Leaf Sacred Forest yourself. You have to do it even if you don't want to. You don't have a magic mirror. You won't be able to contact the Guanghan Palace in a short period of time. Even if we kill you here, the Guanghan Palace will never know about this." Long Ruoheo faintly smiled and waved the folding fan in his hand. At this moment, Xiao Yuelon and Qin Yun also walked out of the carriage. Xiao Yuelon held a magic mirror in her hand and shouted, "I've already contacted the palace masters of the Guanghan Palace. They already know about this matter. Don't lie to me. The one in your hand is definitely a fake magic mirror. Not many women in your Guanghan Palace use magic mirrors, especially those palace masters." Long Ruoheo laughed loudly. "How are you going to contact them?" Lu Jiayin also thought so before, but now he knows that he is gravely mistaken. The magic mirror in Xiao Yuelon's hand was not refined by their magic mirror sex inscription master, but by Qin Yun. He is a very mysterious and awesome person. "Long Ruoheo, you have the sun-suppressing divine arrow in your hand. That's why you're so arrogant, right?" Xiao Yuelon said with a sneer. "I have the capital to be arrogant. So many immortal emperors and immortal kings were unable to obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow, but I was able to. Those 2 great emperors met me and were extremely respectful to me. That's why, Xiao Xianqin, you should obediently lead the way for me. Moreover, you should accompany me to relieve my loneliness, accompany me to sleep or something like that, and become my little lover. This is the smart decision." Long Ruoheo laughed proudly. The other Earth Immortals of the Long family were also laughing obscenely. A middle-aged man shouted, "Do you know young Master Long's status? As long as he returns from the Blue Leaf Sacred Forest, he will immediately become an Earth Immortal. In less than 2 years, he will become a Tao Immortal, and within 10 years, he will definitely become an Immortal King. Our young Master Long has such potential. Xiao Xianqin, why aren't you throwing yourself into his arms? Why are you so stubborn? If our young Master Long wants to recruit wives and concubines, I guarantee that more than half of the women in the city will line up." The Lan family people laughed and said, "The sun-suppressing divine arrow in young Master Long's hand is a divine tool. It can easily resist a sacred tool, and within 20 years, he will definitely become an immortal emperor." The immortal desolate might be destroyed in a few hundred years. Within these few hundred years, young Master Long can rely on the sun-suppressing divine arrow to enter the sacred desolate. As long as you follow him, you can also enter the sacred desolate in the future. Long Ruoheo, you're a second-level Xian immortal, and I am only a first-level Xian immortal. As long as you defeat me, my Aunt Xiao is willing to lead the way. If you lose, give me the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Do you dare to fight? Xiao Yuelon said coldly. She is wearing a veil, and it is impossible to see her appearance. Even if he saw it, Long Ruoheo would not know that it is Xiao Yuelon. Long Ruoheo laughed loudly a few times. Just as he was about to agree, he was pulled by an old earth immortal. They are rather cautious about the matter of the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Why do you have to bet with my sun-suppressing divine arrow? Long Ruoheo said with sneer. You guys are not worthy. Qin Yun said to Lu Jiayin. You guys previously said that you would fight with your lives on the line. If you fight with your lives on the line, will you be able to block those earth immortals? Lu Jiayin really wanted to say no. He really wanted to run away, but he didn't dare because he would definitely die miserably. The 10 earth immortals beside Long Ruoheo and the 2 earth immortals from the Lan family have already surrounded Qin Yun and company. They want to forcefully capture Xiao Xianqin to lead the way. Suddenly, Long Ruoheo's magic mirror vibrated. He took it out and said with a frown, Grandfather is contacting me. After he accepted, he heard an old man's angry voice. Xiao Hao, you want to capture Xiao Xianqin to lead the way, and you want her to sleep with you? Long Ruoheo thought that the magic mirror in Xiao Yuelon's hand was fake. He never expected that she would actually record what he said and send it to the magic mirror. This way, the Guanghan Palace will definitely know. Grandfather, Xiao Xianqin has mastered a secret technique that allows her to safely enter the depths of the blue leaf sacred forest. Our Long family shouldn't need to be afraid of the Guanghan Palace, right? Long Ruoheo said in a low voice. The Guanghan Palace has 3 sun-suppressing divine arrows. Not to mention our Long family. Even if the Devil Immortal Heavenly Gate and the Xian family join hands, we can't guarantee that we could defeat the Guanghan Palace. The old man's grave voice came from the magic mirror. Quickly release them and apologize. Long Ruoheo is very angry. He cut off the connection and put away the magic mirror. He shouted angrily, Don't be afraid of the Guanghan Palace. So what if they have 3 sun-suppressing divine arrows? They might not be able to complete their mission. Do it, capture Xiao Xianqin. Go. Qin Yun shouted to Lu Jiayin and company. Follow my instructions. Chapter 1419. Divine Arrow changing owner Qin Yun and the others are inside the forest filled with huge blue trees. Looking from the blue sky city gate, they can only see many huge tree trunks. They can't see what is happening inside. Earlier, Qin Yun secretly sent a sound transmission to Lu Jiayin, telling them to fight one against 2 earth immortals and he will support them from behind. After Lu Jiayin received the meteor hammer, he immediately realized that it is a very powerful weapon. Xiao Xianqin is also the same. She knows that the sacred saber is very strong. Especially after pouring in immortal power, she can clearly feel that the immortal power has increased by a lot. Moreover, it has become very berserk. This is a weapon that has not been refined yet, and it already has such power. If it was refined, it would definitely become even stronger. After Lu Jiayin and the others attacked, Qin Yun promptly threw out the sacred tier armors of Lung Wanquang and the other sacred desolate warriors. Following his control, the armors accurately flew towards Lu Jiayin and the others. After touching them, they automatically wrapped around their bodies. Although the sacred tier armors are already damaged, they still have very strong defensive power. It is just that they can't form a barrier. Xiao Xianqin, Lu Jiayin, and the others have exactly 6 people. They also have 6 sets of armors. After wearing them, it will allow them to have even stronger defensive power. Scram! Although this is the first time Lu Jiayin used a weapon like the meteor hammer, he is after all an Earth Immortal. He has lived for many years and can immediately use it. He swung the meteor hammer towards the Lan family Earth Immortal. After the meteor hammer was infused with the Earth Immortal's immortal power, it became fiery red and emitted intense flames. It quickly smashed towards the Lan family Earth Immortal's head. Boom! Although the armor on the Lan family Earth Immortal's body released a protective barrier, it was still smashed by the meteor hammer. His head is badly bruised and bleeding. This kind of powerful feeling made Lu Jiayin feel incomparably excited and excited. The other Earth Immortals from the Magic Mirror sect also rushed over to fight with the Earth Immortals. Their bodies suffered continuous fierce attacks, attacked by various immortal tools, causing boom, 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 shaking sounds, but their bodies did not suffer any injuries. Xiao Xianqin wildly brandished the sacred saber in her hand and fiercely chopped at two Earth Immortals. One of the Earth Immortals' hand was chopped off. The battle between earthly immortals was very intense. The forest was suddenly shrouded by all kinds of powerful energy. The giant blue trees nearby were also very powerful. Despite being attacked by all kinds of violent earthly immortal powers, they only shook violently and were not destroyed. An Earth Immortal Realm warrior of the Long family shouted, "Those guys are all wearing Sage-level armors. That saber and meteor hammer are both Sage-level weapons." After Long Ruoheo heard this, he was very shocked. There were still two Earth Immortals protecting him by his side. They released a barrier to block the shock waves of the great battle. "You two quickly go and help. Kill those guys, and the sacred tool will be yours." Long Ruoheo shouted, "Young master, there are two Xian Immortals over there. Especially that man. He was the one who took out many Saint artifacts and Saint Great armors. We have to protect you." An old man said, "I have the sun-suppressing divine arrow in my hand. In front of me, a sacred tool is just a piece of paper." Long Ruoheo suddenly took out a silver rod-like thing. "That is the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelan are watching from afar. They have just become Xian Immortals. They are unable to intervene in the battle between Earth Immortals." Long Ruoheo shouted in a low voice, "Quickly go and help. Our people's injuries are not light." The two old men protecting Long Ruoheo also flew out and charged towards Xiao Xianqin and Lu Jiayin respectively. And at this moment, Long Ruoheo quickly charged toward Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelan. He said with an evil grin, "You two, go and die first." Xiao Xianqin wanted to charge towards Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelan, but she was blocked by the old man. "Aunt, don't worry about us," Xiao Yuelan shouted. Long Ruoheo's speed is very fast. He is indeed worthy of being a very powerful Xian Immortal. In a few blinks of an eye, he arrived in front of Qin Yun, and the sun-suppressing divine arrow in his hand shot out. Boom! Qin Yun suddenly released supergravity, and Xiao Yuelan released vibration power to coordinate with it. Long Ruoheo was immediately shaken to the point where he stood motionless. Ho! Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelan stood together and simultaneously released a suffering divine ability power that entered Long Ruoheo's body. Long Ruoheo's body has a very strong armor that blocked the attack of the divine ability power. You have some skill, but in front of the sun-suppressing divine arrow, only death awaits you. Long Ruoheo tightly gripped the sun-suppressing divine arrow. The armor on his body released a berserk power. He struggled free from the supergravity and once again charged toward Qin Yun. Xiao Yuelan suddenly disappeared and flashed behind Long Ruoheo, and Qin Yun also dodged Long Ruoheo's sun-suppressing divine arrow. At this moment, Xiao Yuelan's eyes shot out two red lights. This is her sacred eye. It can release very strong mental power attacks. His armor is very strong, Xiao Yuelan said. It can resist all kinds of energy attacks. Long Ruoheo turned around and charged toward Xiao Yuelan and shouted, "Proud woman of Guanghan Palace, I will let you experience my Long Ruoheo's majesty." Previously, he was attacked by Xiao Yuelon and Qinyan several times, but none of them were able to break through. Therefore, he is very confident in the armor on his body and is not afraid of exposing his back to the enemy. Just as Long Ruoheo charged towards Xiao Yuelon, Qinyan suddenly flew over. A fiery red long arrow appeared in his hand. It is his sun-suppressing divine arrow. Go to hell. The long arrow in Qinyan's hand pierced towards Long Ruoheo's head with a shio sound. It struck Long Ruoheo's protective energy barrier and produced a rumbling explosion. Long Ruoheo's armor was broken in an instant, and his head was pierced by the sun-suppressing divine arrow. In that instant, he knew what had pierced him. It was the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Xiao Yuelon immediately flashed over and snatched the sun-suppressing divine arrow from Long Ruoheo's hand. Although Long Ruoheo's head was pierced, he did not die. He laughed sinisterly and said, "You all think that the sun-suppressing divine arrow can be snatched so easily? Whoever snatches my sun-suppressing divine arrow will die. Ha!" The sun-suppressing divine arrow in Xiao Yuelon's hand constantly erupted with surging power. Her expression is incomparably grave as she shouted, "Xiao Yun, the sun-suppressing divine arrow, is going berserk." Qinyan promptly pulled out the sun-suppressing divine arrow from Long Ruoheo's head and then kicked Long Ruoheo flying. Long Ruoheo's body was sent flying and crashed into a tree trunk. When he landed, he laughed sinisterly and said, "All of you must die. Killing the person who possesses the sun-suppressing divine arrow, or snatching the sun-suppressing divine arrow, will definitely result in death." Ha ha. Qinyan arrived beside Xiao Yuelon and grabbed the sun-suppressing divine arrow in her hand. The nine-sun divine spirit also appeared on his wrist. Suddenly, a magnetic voice of a middle-aged man sounded in his mind and asked, "What's going on? Don't you already have the sun-suppressing divine arrow? Why are you still snatching it?" "That person wanted to kill me. I had no choice." Qinyan said, "Senior, that person is not worthy of possessing the sun-suppressing divine arrow. He is an evil and heinous fellow. He relied on the sun-suppressing divine arrow in his hand to kill the innocent." "Really?" the voice asked. "Really? He was the one who first took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow to attack me." Qinyan said, "Good. Then I'll rearrange this sun-suppressing divine arrow." The voice sighed, "I believe you because you have a nine-sun divine spirit. Senior, leave it to the woman beside me. She is my wife." Qinyan is delighted in his heart and immediately said to the voice, "All right." Originally, the sun-suppressing divine arrow in Xiao Yuelon's hand constantly surged with a very violent power, but now it has gradually calmed down. The sun-suppressing divine arrow in Xiao Yuelon's hand suddenly turned deep red and stabilized. When Long Ruoheo saw the scene on the ground, he shouted in shock, "What's going on? Why aren't you guys dead? Why did I lose connection with the sun-suppressing divine arrow?" "You're dead for sure." Qinyan rushed over and pierced Long Ruoheo's body with an arrow. Furthermore, he released a very strong flame. Boom, boom, boom. Qinyan stabbed 3 times in a row. Each time, a fierce and crazy flame burst out and penetrated Long Ruoheo's body. Just 3 stabs, the flame poured in and burned Long Ruoheo's body, leaving behind only a tattered soft armor. Xiao Yuelon tightly held the sun-suppressing divine arrow. She is also extremely excited. She never thought that she would use this kind of method to obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Young Master Long is dead. An old man suddenly shouted, "What? Let's quickly run and send this news back." A middle-aged man from the Long family shouted. Qinyan promptly took out the devil mirror and informed the devil mirror immortal emperor to seal all the nearby devil mirrors and prevent any news from spreading out. Within the blue forest, a few Long family Earth immortals are covered in injuries. They are frantically fleeing. Xiao Xianxin and Lu Jiayan are closely chasing from behind. Boom! Lu Jiayan threw out the meteor hammer in his hand. The spiked hammer head rushed out, like a meteor and pierced through the body of a long family Earth immortal. Xiao Xianxin promptly took out her zither and plucked the strings. Waves of sound waves quickly rushed out, bringing along a kind of wonderful string sound that enveloped the surroundings. Strangely, Xiao Xianxin unceasingly plucked the zither strings. The translucent sound waves actually floated up and then gradually turned into a whirlpool, producing a burst of strong wind. Although those few people are running forward, they're unknowingly following the whirlpool's cantilever and circling around. After running a few times, they actually followed the whirlpool and circled back. It is very strange. Lu Jian saw Xiao Xianxin's move, and his heart is filled with fear. He promptly brandished the meteor hammer and attacked an Earth immortal. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Jian's strength is also not weak. Now that he is using a sacred tool to fight against Earth immortals of the same level, it is as if he is invincible. In just a short moment, more than 10 Earth immortals from the Lan and Long family have been killed by Xiao Xianxin and Lu Jian. We won. We won. Lu Jian tightly held the meteor hammer. He is very excited. Yes, quickly return the thing to me. Qingyun laughed and said, You must keep it a secret, otherwise Lan and Long family will not let you off. Although Lu Jian is very reluctant in his heart, he still returned the meteor hammer to Qingyun. He doesn't dare to act recklessly now because he already knew that Qingyun has the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Chapter 1420. Forest, Maze, the other Earth immortals from the Magic Mirror sect returned the armor to Qingyun. They had no intention of keeping it for themselves. Although Qingyun's cultivation level was not high in front of them, he definitely had many powerful items in his hands. Furthermore, it was Immortal Emperor Fiend Mirror's godfather. All right, you can go back now. If someone asks about this, just say you don't know. I will inform Immortal Emperor Devil Mirror. Qingyun said. Xiao Xianxin originally wanted to return the holy saber to Qingyun, but Qingyun told her to keep it for now because she still needed to lead the way. Sir, be careful, Lu Jian said respectfully. Got it, goodbye. Qingyun nodded, then followed Xiao Xianxin into the blue leaf sacred forest with Xiao Yuelon. Lu Jian and company sent Qingyun off with their eyes. Only then did they clean up the corpses here. They can also fish out some things. Aunt Xiao, are you injured? Qingyun asked. No. The armor you gave me is very strong. I've been attacked by their weapons many times, but my body is a little uncomfortable from the shock. I am not injured. Xiao Xianxin said with a slight smile. Aunt, do you know how powerful Xiao Yun is now? Xiao Yuelon waved the sun-suppressing divine arrow in her hand and said with a charming smile, I also have the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Xiao Yun, did you obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow with our Moon Palace's Immortal Emperor Yu and divine emissary Rujing? Xiao Xianxin asked. She knows that Yu and Xian Rujing are in the vicinity of the sun-suppressing divine arrow. She thought that Yang Shuriwei would be the one to obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Qingyun nodded. It was Xiao Yun who helped them get it. Xiao Yuelon was very proud of herself. She smiled mischievously and said, Aunt, is my husband qualified? At this time, they also slowed down and walked in this strange blue forest. Xiao Xianxin said with a smile, You little girl, you didn't even tell me that you found such an outstanding man. You don't even have me in your heart. She now knows that Qingyun is truly capable. However, letting the 3 women of the Guanghan Palace obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow would allow the Guanghan Palace to possess even greater strength. Xiao Yuelon giggled. Aunt, Xiao Yun is a very outstanding man. Then why did you say that he used a bewitching spell on you? Stop it. Xiao Xianxin immediately covered Xiao Yuelon's mouth and looked at her with hidden bitterness. She said in a low voice, Yuelon, Aunt is begging you. Don't speak nonsense, okay? Qingyun asked in puzzlement, What bewitching art? Xiao Xianxin did not dare to look at Qingyun and said in a low voice, It's nothing. It's all a misunderstanding caused by my suspicion. Xiao Yun, don't think too much. Let's hurry up and enter the inner parts of the forest as soon as possible. Qin Yun looked at Xiao Yuelon and suddenly felt that Xiao Yuelon is as mischievous as her younger sister Xiao Yuemei. Xiao Yuelon playfully stuck out her tongue at Qin Yun and said with a smile, "Little scoundrel, don't think too much about it. Let's go." Xiao Xianqin's heart became even more chaotic. She wanted to take a few more glances at Qin Yun, but she didn't dare to. She was worried that Xiao Yuelon would overthink something. She suddenly felt that this chaotic state of mind had a very familiar feeling, as if she had experienced it many times before. Qin Yun did not know what Xiao Xianqin was thinking. He only felt that he owed this woman in his previous life. "Aunt, you once knew Xiao Yun," Xiao Yuelon suddenly said. "However, you suddenly lost that part of your memories. How is this possible?" Xiao Xianqin hurriedly turned her head and looked at Qin Yun. "Yes." Qin Yun nodded. "And Xiao, we once knew each other, and we even experienced many things. Then what was my relationship with you before? Why did I forget this part of my memories?" Xiao Xianqin hurriedly asked. "Because I was punished by the heavens." Qin Yun sighed softly. Xiao Yuelon hurriedly walked over and held Xiao Xianqin's hand. She told her why she had forgotten about Qin Yun and how she could recover this part of her memories. After Xiao Xianqin heard this, she also felt that it was inconceivable. She never expected that her relationship with Qin Yun would be so good. Of course, Xiao Yuelon did not tell her about the conflict with Qin Yun. In his previous life, Qin Yun was the immortal King Fu Yun. Xiao Xianqin's name was Yuqin, but she was tricked by Qin Yun. Qin Yun stole her undergarment and sold it. She was even swindled of many things. When Xiao Xianqin awakened her memories, she shouted at Qin Yun to kill him. Fortunately, Qin Yun did not have the memories of his previous life, so Xiao Xianqin endured it. Furthermore, after being saved by Qin Yun, a few things happened, causing her to gradually have an indescribable good impression of Qin Yun. Only then did she let go of that matter. "And Xiao, actually, you and I still have some misunderstandings, which caused you to almost kill me," Qin Yun continued. "If you had cultivated a saint-level soul and recovered your memories, you would definitely have wanted to kill me when you thought of those things." Impossible," Xiao Xianqin said with a frown. "Then what did you do to me?" "It's nothing much. It's all from my previous life. He stole some of your things." Xiao Yuelon smiled and said, "Aunt, you and him have both reincarnated. Don't worry about the small conflicts from your previous life. Hurry up and bring us into the depths of the forest." Xiao Xianqin smiled at Qin Yun and said, "Xiao Yun, don't worry. Even if I recover my memories, I will definitely not kill you. If it wasn't for your help, I would have been in a lot of trouble. Besides, you have done a great favor for our Guanghan Palace, allowing the great palace master and the others to obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow. I don't even know how to thank you for this great favor." Xiao Yuelon smiled sweetly and said, "He is my husband, and he has many friends in the Guanghan Palace. Helping the Guanghan Palace is also a matter of course." Does Xiao Yin know many disciples of the Guanghan Palace?" Xiao Xianqin said in surprise. "Of course I know him. He's a scoundrel. He used a bewitching technique on many beauties of my Guanghan Palace and bewitched their hearts. And Xiao, you have to be careful. He's bad. Don't be bewitched by him. He still has many concubines in the Guanghan Palace." Xiao Yuelon smiled mischievously before running over and hammering Qin Yun's chest. Qin Yun was speechless. He felt that Xiao Yuelon in front of him had been possessed by Xiao Yuemei. Xiao Xianqin frowned and said, "Yuelon, don't be naughty. You little girl, you are always so naughty in front of acquaintances. I quite like your cold appearance. You're cool and you don't talk much. How worrisome." Qin Yun also nodded. "A cold and emotionless Yuelon is a good Yuelon. You two are teaming up to bully me." Xiao Yuelon pouted and said, "Look at the two of you. You're thinking the same thing. Yuelon, stop messing around." Qin Yun chuckled and patted her butt. Xiao Yuelon laughed in anger and said, "Scoundrel Xiao Yun, you actually touched but in front of my Aunt Xiao." Xiao Xianqin looked at Xiao Yuelon with hidden bitterness. She knew that Xiao Yuelon was deliberately teasing her. "Let's hurry up," Xiao Xianqin said. "And Xiao, this is for you." Qin Yin took out a magic mirror and handed it to Xiao Xianqin. "This is a magic mirror I refined. There's no problem with it. You can use it without worry. You can use this magic mirror to contact Sister Yang and the others." Xiao Xianqin took it and played with it for a while. She realized that Yu and a few others have been recorded inside. She can contact them at any time. "How many immortal jade beads?" Xiao Xianqin asked. Xiao Yuelon patted Xiao Xianqin's, but and said with a smile, "We're all family. Why do you need immortal jade beads?" "I don't know how to thank you for leading the way for Xiao Yun." After saying that, she looked at Qin Yun and teased, "Xiao Yun, how are you going to thank Aunt Xiao for leading the way?" Xiao Xianqin pinched Xiao Yuelon's face and said with a chuckle, "Yuelon, you're becoming more and more mischievous." "Aunt Xiao, how did you safely enter this forest?" Qin Yun asked curiously. "This forest can form a very strange maze. After entering, if you're not careful, you'll fall into the maze. And inside the maze, there are all kinds of maze-killing formations, and there are also many inscription beasts." When Xiao Xianqin mentioned this matter, her charming and beautiful face is filled with a proud smile. "As for me, I can see through those maze formations. Even if I fall into them, I can still come out." Qin Yun is slightly alarmed and hurriedly said, "The sound wave created by the zither earlier was like a maze formation. Could it be because of this?" Xiao Xianqin nodded and said with a smile, "And this is an ability that I unknowingly mastered. It can be considered a divine ability. Anyway, I don't know how to see through the maze formation." Xiao Yuelon held the sun-suppressing divine arrow and said, "I also received that mission." The sun-suppressing divine arrow floated in the air, pointing in a certain direction. "I want to go this way." Xiao Yuelon looked at Qin Yun and asked, "Xiao Yun, what about you?" Qin Yun also took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow and pointed in the same direction as Xiao Yuelon. "Aunt Xiao, have you entered the depths of the Blue Leaf Sacred Forest before? What's inside?" Qin Yun felt that there must be something special about the Blue Leaf Sacred Forest. "I've never entered the depths. Although I can see through the maze formation and not be disturbed by it, some of the inscription beasts inside are still very strong. I have to be extremely vigilant in order to avoid being discovered by the inscription beasts." Xiao Xianqin sighed softly. "It's still very dangerous inside. Even if Long Ruo Heo brought 10 strong Earth Immortals with him, he wouldn't dare to casually enter." Xiao Yuelon looked at the sky and could only see many blue leaves. She is surrounded by straight blue tree trunks. She muttered, "If I had known earlier, I would have let Xiao Ling come over. She would definitely be able to sense the inscription beasts. Humph, if Xiao Ling comes, then the heavens will be overturned." Xiao Xianqin said with slight anger, "You Xiaoling, this sun fairy is very bad. Previously, when I was sleeping, she touched me all over the place." Qin Yun slapped Xiao Yuelon's butt again and said with a smile, "Yuelon, don't learn bad things from you Xiaoling, okay?" He finally understood why Xiao Yuelon became so mischievous in front of acquaintances. It is because of Yu Xiaoling's influence. Yu Xiaoling, this sun fairy, had fused with Xiao Yuelon's soul. Xiao Yuelon must have been affected by the soul fusion. Qin Yun secretly despised Xiao Yuelon for being so easily affected. The Ling Yinner in his mind is also a very perverted and bad little fairy, but she has never affected him. "Dad, I also have the sun-suppressing divine arrow. I'm entering the Blue Leaf Sacred Forest. Are you also inside?" Qin Yin suddenly took out the magic mirror and contacted Qin Long. "Xiao Yin, you sigh." Qin Long's sigh was heard. "You must be careful when you enter. This place is very dangerous." "Dad, what's wrong?" Qin Yin asked immediately. Chapter 14:21. Dream Maze Formation. When Qin Yin heard his father's advice, he immediately thought that there might be something in this forest that could impersonate their acquaintance, make them relax their guard, and then find an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. "All right, I believe that you will definitely be able to smoothly reach the end. At that time, we will also be able to meet again," Qin Long said. Pay more attention to everything. Let's do this first. Qin Yun kept the magic mirror and told Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Xianxin about the matter. After Xiao Xianxin heard this, she said with a frown, "If this really happens, then it must be a very strange ability." Xiao Yuelon said, "Contact Sister Kiru and ask her." Qin Yun took out the magic mirror and wanted to contact Kiru, but he was unable to. This made him and Xiao Yuelon suddenly feel somewhat worried. "I can't contact her." Qin Yun's face is immediately filled with worry. Sister Kiru will be fine. She is very strong. Although Xiao Yuelon said this, she's also very worried in her heart. Let's continue forward. Qin Yun took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow and determined the direction. Xiao Xianxin is walking in front and walking rather slowly. She wants to observe the surrounding trees to see if they have entered a maze or not. Xiao Yuelon and Qin Yun are releasing very strong mental power and wandering in the distance. If a beast approaches, they can immediately detect it and make preparations in advance. Of course, if there are some powerful beasts that can hide and not be detected by mental power, it would be very dangerous. Qin Yun took out a red compass. It is the compass used to sense inscription beasts. If there is a very strong inscription beast nearby, this compass will have a very big movement. Qin Yun said, "This is a compass from the sacred desolate. Its perception is very accurate. As long as it's not an inscription beast, I can deal with it." Xiao Xianqin said, "In the blue leaf sacred forest, only earth immortals can enter. This kind of sacred land is mainly used to protect inscription beasts. Therefore, the strength of inscription beasts in the sacred land surpasses that of earth immortals. If she were to face ordinary earth immortal beasts, Xiao Xianqin would be able to deal with them using her sacred saber." Xiao Xianqin has been observing the trees. Qin Yun also used his tree totem to sense the mystical blue trees, but he did not discover anything. Several hours later, Xiao Xianqin suddenly stopped and said in low voice, "We might have entered a maze." When did we come in?" Xiao Yuelon was very surprised. She quickly looked around and said, "There's nothing wrong. I don't know why it's like this. In short, we've been moving forward for so long, and it's been so peaceful. I haven't found any traces of a maze, which means we've fallen into a maze." Xiao Xianqin's eyes were filled with doubt. She shook her head and said, "We just entered the blue leaf sacred forest not long ago. Normally, we wouldn't fall into such a strong maze." Although they had been in the blue leaf sacred forest for a few hours, they had been walking very slowly. They should still be in the outer regions of the blue leaf sacred forest. Xiao Xianqin said, "There are a lot of maze formations in the blue leaf sacred forest. I can usually see through them in advance. If I can't discover it, then it means that I have fallen into a very strong maze. But outside the blue leaf sacred forest, there shouldn't be such a maze." Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon looked at each other and said, "Maybe because we have the sun-suppressing divine arrow, we have been targeted by some powerful and mysterious power. Auntie, can you bring us out of this maze?" Xiao Yuelon asked. "I can't see anything. If you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have known that we were in a maze." Xiao Xianqin summoned her zither. It is equivalent to her origin weapon. After she plucked the zither strings, it emitted a soft, vibrating sound, causing her face to reveal a look of fear. "Aunt, what's wrong?" Xiao Yuelon quickly asked and raised her vigilance. "My zither. The sound is not right." Xiao Xianqin anxiously shouted. "Quick, let's stand together." Xiao Xianqin's zither sound is not something she is familiar with, which is why she feels so afraid. Suddenly, a painful scream came from the front. It is a woman's voice. Furthermore, it made Qin Yun, Xiao Yuelon, and Xiao Xianqin feel that it is very familiar. A red figure suddenly appeared in the forest in front of them, quickly running. Upon closer inspection, it is a woman covered in blood. She was originally wearing a snow-white dress, but now it is dyed red. Her face is filled with fear as she ran towards Qin Yun and company. "Shuiru," Qin Yun said in surprise. "Sister Shuiru." Xiao Yuelon is also very shocked. This Is this really Shui Ru? Xiao Xianqin's voice is filled with doubt. Because they are now in a maze, suddenly a familiar person appeared. It is very suspicious. Behind Ngong Shuru, there's a blood-red gorilla chasing after her. The gorilla's hands have two long sabers that are filled with blood. Xiao Yun, Yuelon, Xianqin, why are you here? Quickly run. Nangong Shuru yelled. That thing is very strong. Qin Yun recalled his father's words. No matter who they meet, they must kill them decisively. However, the Nangong Shuru before them is very real. They can't kill her. Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Xianqin are very suspicious that Nangong Shuru is not real, because Qin Long warned Qin Yun to be careful when meeting someone he knows. Moreover, they are now in a maze. Suddenly, Nangong Shueru stopped running. She turned around and rushed towards a gorilla. She cried miserably and said, "Quickly leave. We will meet again in our next life." Shueru, what happened to that seed? Qin Yun suddenly asked. That seed is a mysterious seed given to him by evil God. It can grow into a sun divine tree. Since it requires the sun-moon divine bowl to grow, Qin Yun gave it to Nangong Shuru. What seed? Nangong Shuru yelled while crying. Quickly run. What are you still standing there for? She is fake. Qin Yun let out a long sigh. The gorilla suddenly sent Nangong Shueru flying with a powerful palm strike. Nangong Shueru was sent flying towards Xiao Yuelon. Xiao Yuelon saw Nangong Shuru being sent flying and hastily dodged. She is now certain that this is a fake Nangong Shuru. After Nangong Shuru landed on the ground, she suddenly jumped up, turned into a black shadow, and rushed toward Xiao Yuelon. Xiao Yuelon is the real target. Xiao Xianqin promptly plucked the zither strings and released a burst of clear and melodious string sound. Then, a wave of mental power fluctuation appeared, and the black shadow immediately scattered along with the ripples of mental power. As for the gorilla that was flying over from afar, it suddenly dispersed after being hit by the Xian Yin's mental power ripples. Qin Yun immediately pulled Xiao Yuelon and asked, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." Xiao Yuelon laughed. "Anne is still the most awesome. It's best if we don't touch those things here. We must use mental power to attack." Xiao Xianqin's expression is cold. She looked all around and said with sigh, "This maze is very special. I have never seen it before." Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon promptly arrived beside Xiao Xianqin. A 7-string jade zither is floating in front of Xiao Xianqin. It is her origin weapon. It has mental power and sound wave attribute. "And Xiao, how can we get out of this maze?" Qin Yun asked. "Let me take a look." Xiao Xianqin's lily-white fingers gently plucked the zither strings. The 7-string jade zither suddenly trembled, but no string sound appeared. "Strange." She frowned, looked all around, and said, "Isn't this a maze? Why didn't my previous method work?" Qin Yun looked at Xiao Yuelon and said, "That thing just now wanted to attack Yuelon. Yuelon is the main target. The reason why it turned into Shui Ru, it should have been obtained from Yuelon's memories. The Shui Ru in Yuelon's memories does not know about that seed. If that's the case, then this should be a dream maze formation. It allows us to be in a bizarre dream and reality. Through my dreams, it can read the deep memories in our minds." Xiao Xianqin's beautiful eyes moved about as she pondered. She said softly, "The three of us have very strong mental power, so that thing is unable to read deep memories. It can only obtain very shallow memories." Xiao Yuelon suddenly said, "On the way here, I was thinking about Sister Shui Ru. The things she makes are very delicious, especially pastries and fruit juice. I like to eat them the most. I really didn't expect you to be as gluttonous as you may," Qin Yun said with a smile. Xiao Xianqin said in a low voice, "We have to be careful. Our memories in a maze might be stolen." Qin Yun nodded and said, "It's best if we don't let our imaginations run wild." Xiao Yuelon pulled Qin Yun's hand and said, "If the one who pretended to be Sister Shui Ru just now had brought a lot of delicious food, I might have been fooled." She pinched Qin Yun and warned, "Xiao Yun, don't think about messy things. I don't think I can become a target." Qin Yun has the nether moon. It is a very strong mental power protection barrier. At most, Xiao Yuelon only has the nether moon martial spirit. She doesn't have the real nether moon. And don't let your imagination run wild. Let's see what that thing can pretend to be. Xiao Yuelon warned. You might become a target. Impossible. Xiao Xianqin curled her lips and said, Yuelon, when you were recalling, your memories were red. Don't you know that? Xiao Yuelon shook her head and said doubtfully, I don't feel anything at all. My mental power is very strong. Why is it like this? They continued walking. Xiao Xianqin wanted to find a way to break the formation by examining the tree trunks. Not long after, they saw two blurry figures under a tree in front of them. This caused them to immediately become vigilant. When they approached, they discovered that they were two disheveled women with skin as fair as jade. They had intoxicated expressions as they hugged each other intimately. After clearly seeing the appearance of the two women, Xiao Xianqin's face immediately flushed red, because those two women looked exactly the same as Xiao Xianqin and Xiao Yuelon. Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Xianqin immediately looked at Qin Yun. Xiao Xianqin's eyes are filled with anger, while Xiao Yuelon found it strange. Xiao Yun, are you letting your imagination run wild? Xiao Xianqin said with a light pout. I swear to the heavens, I really didn't. Qin Yun said with a wronged expression. Xiao Yuelon said in a low voice, Come, let's go over. If those two things attack someone, then it's whoever is letting their imagination run wild. The three of them walked over with different moods. They all wanted to know who was letting their imagination run wild, causing such an unsightly scene to appear in this maze. After passing by, the fake Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Xianqin suddenly flew out. One charged at Xiao Yuelon and the other charged at Xiao Xianqin. Xiao Xianqin is very alarmed. She immediately plucked the zither strings and released a very strong mental sound wave. The two phantoms that were rushing over suddenly dissipated by the sound wave. Chapter 1422. Dream Devil. Chapter 1422. Dream Devil. Qin Yun saw that Xiao Xianqin's face is completely red and Xiao Yuelon is also lowering her head without saying anything. He laughed and said, It must be the thing inside the dream maze formation trying to provoke us. That thing must have heard my words just now. That's why it came here on purpose. Don't mind it. Indeed, Xiao Xianqin nodded and said, Let's not lose our mind because of this. Xiao Yuelon also nodded and asked, And this is not the way. Can we not kill the thing inside the dream maze formation? We must quickly leave the dream maze formation. Xiao Xianqin naturally wants to leave quickly so that she doesn't see many unsightly things. That thing should be the dream devil inside the dream maze formation. In short, it is a very evil thing. Xiao Xianqin looked all around and said in low voice, We must be careful. That dream devil has its own wisdom and is very cunning. We can't kill the dream devil. Once it invades our bodies, it will be very troublesome. Qin Yun took out the magic mirror and contacted Nangong Shuuru. Very soon, Nangong Shuuru's voice came from the magic mirror and shouted in pleasant surprise, Xiao Yun, the seed you gave me is reacting. Ah, really? What happened? Qin Yun hastily asked. It sprouted. Nangong Shuuru said with smile. Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Xianqin looked at each other and nodded. They know that the Nangong Shuuru inside the magic mirror is also fake. That is not Sister Shuuru, it is fake, Xiao Yuelon said. Qin Yun promptly put away the magic mirror and said with frown, But this is too real. I used the magic mirror to contact Shuuru. How can it be fake? I also refined the magic mirror myself. There is no problem. Xiao Xianqin lightly sighed and said, We should be in a dream right now, and our bodies might not have moved at all. Therefore, everything here is just an illusion. My 7-string jade zither sound is not real at all. Fortunately, mental power can still be used to restrain that dream devil. If we are all in a dream, then our weapons are basically useless. Xiao Yuelon took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow and waved it a few times. Could it be that this is also fake? As she spoke, she pierced her dark red sun, suppressing divine arrow into the huge tree trunk. With an explosive sound, the tree trunk was pierced into pieces. It's very real. Xiao Yuelon immediately fell into a daze. Of course it feels real in a dream. Furthermore, this dream was specially created by that dream demon. Xiao Xianqin was also very anxious. She continuously moved the strings of the seven-string jade zither and released waves of mental energy. After releasing his mental power, many ripples appeared in the surroundings. If I use my powerful mental strength, I might be able to break this illusion maze. Xiao Xianqin shouted in pleasant surprise. The main purpose of the dream maze array is to cause us mental confusion. That's why our consciousness entered the dream maze array. Ga. Suddenly, an unpleasant laughter appeared in Qin Yun and company's minds. They couldn't tell if it was male or female. It was very sharp. In front of him, there were several black shadows flying over at high speed. Xiao Xianqin increased her speed and plucked the zither strings, producing waves of sound waves. More and more black shadows appeared in the surroundings, constantly pouncing over, wanting to break through Xiao Xianqin's sound wave domain. You won't be able to leave. You will sleep forever in my demons, until your bodies are destroyed. That unpleasant voice sounded and laughed nastily. I will play you to death. Xiao Yuelon and Qin Yun hurriedly released their powerful mental power. They followed Xiao Xianqin's mental zither sound waves and charged out. The mental power of the two of them were not weak. After they were released, they had a very obvious effect. They were able to dissipate the black shadows that were pouncing over. Xiao Xianqin said, "The dream demon did not appear. The things we saw before were all formed from his mental power. Consume all the mental power he released and force him to appear." Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon increased the mental power they released. Together with Xiao Xianqin's zither sound, they rippled in all directions to the west, tearing apart all the black shadows that came from all directions. The black shadows that pounced over were like ghosts. They looked very frightening. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws, letting out ghostly wails and wolf howls. They covered the sky and covered the earth as they constantly enveloped them. If not for the fact that Qin Yun and company's mental power was very strong, they would have already fallen and been invaded by this evil mental attack. Qin Yun used the heavenly might Dao technique's vast and mighty heavenly might, causing his mental power to possess a very strong heavenly might. After he cultivated the one-thought imperial heaven art, his mental power became even stronger. At this moment, combined with the vast and mighty power of the heavenly might, it transformed into a surging wave that continuously charged out, drowning all the black shadows that were pouncing over. Xiao Xianqin's face was filled with pleasant surprise as she exclaimed, "Xiao Yun, your mental power has some kind of power. Ghosts and evil beings are very afraid of it. The effect is very good." Qin Yun only needed to release his mental power. Through her seven-string jade zither, Xiao Xianqin was able to make his and Xiao Yuelon's mental power even stronger. Not long after, their surroundings returned to normal. They saw that the trees were rippling like water before gradually calming down. Have we left the illusion maze formation? Xiao Yuelon looked around. Not yet. As Xiao Xianqin spoke, she continued plucking the zither strings. After the sound waves spread out, they could see that everything around them began to fluctuate again. This meant that they were still in an illusion. That unpleasant voice suddenly sounded and said angrily, "Why aren't you guys willing to obediently cooperate with me? I guarantee that I can make the three of you extremely happy. You filthy dream demon, hurry up and come out to die." Xiao Xianqin rebuked angrily. She thought back to how the dream demon deliberately embarrassed her and Xiao Yuelon and felt extremely angry in her heart. The dream demon laughed strangely. Yo, that is clearly the dirty thoughts in your hearts. What does it have to do with me? And Xiao, don't you like Xiao Yin? Ha ha ha. I can tell that you like that little demon very much, and you don't even know why, but you suspect that he used a bewitching technique on you. Hurry up and get out. Xiao Xianxin's face turned red from embarrassment and anger as she stomped her feet and shouted, "Come out!" After the dream demon finished speaking, the blue trees around them suddenly disappeared, turning into a vast expanse of white. Qinyan also saw a beautiful woman wearing a red dress slowly walking over with a charming smile on her face. The woman looked exactly like Xiao Xianxin. As she walked over, she took off her clothes. "Quickly stop, don't take it off." Xiao Xianxin was very angry as she quickly plucked the zither strings. Even though there were many sound waves, the woman was not affected at all. She still walked over while taking off her clothes. If this continued, it wouldn't be long before all her clothes would be taken off. The dream demon deliberately became like Xiao Xianxin and even took off his clothes. It was clear that he wanted to make Xiao Xianxin angry from embarrassment. This was a method to defeat Xiao Xianxin's mind. "Don't take it off." Xiao Xianxin cried out involuntarily. Her fingers suddenly bled and the zither strings broke. "Aunt!" Xiao Yuelon immediately hugged Xiao Xianxin. "Calm down." The dream demon looked at Qin Yun and said with the same voice as Xiao Xianxin, "Xiao Yun, do you want to see me strip naked? You respect Aunt Xiao very much, and you feel guilty towards her. You should turn around now and not look at her. You can go die now." Qin Yun's face sank as a cold light burst out from his eyes. The whites of his eyes suddenly disappeared, and his eyes turned completely black. Hua! A black moon suddenly appeared in the sky above the dream demon. "This is Nether Moon!" The dream demon shouted in fear. "Hurry up and die!" Qin Yun shouted coldly as the Nether Moon slowly pressed down. Don't act recklessly, Xiao Yun. Don't you want to see me take off my clothes?" The dream demon shouted in fear. At this moment, he was unable to move because the Nether Moon had locked onto him. "And Xiao, quickly kill him!" Qin Yun suddenly shouted. Xiao Xianxin gasped for breath as she looked at the Nether Moon. She gradually calmed down. Under the Nether Moon, the dream demon was also beaten back to his original form, turning into a large black shadow. This damned bastard! Xiao Xianxin never thought that her mind would be so fragile. She cursed in a low voice, and the 7-string jade zither also returned to normal. The zither strings trembled, and the sound of the strings echoed. Xiao Xianxin was playing a tune. The tune was impassioned, as if she was standing on the shore of a rushing river, feeling a surging impact. Although Qin Yun had the Nether Moon, he could only suppress the dream demon and not kill it. Xiao Xianxin's 7-string jade zither had already returned to its original form. She constantly played the tune and released sound waves that tore apart this strange illusion. The dream demon was also torn apart by the sound waves formed by the zither's music while screaming miserably. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew, and Qin Yun seemed to have woken up. We've left the illusion maze formation?" Qin Yun looked around. Yes. Xiao Xianxin's beautiful face revealed a smile. "We're finally out. Seriously, I was almost tricked by that guy." Xiao Yuelon is still somewhat doubtful as she asked, "Did we really return to the real world?" Qin Yun pinched her cheek and said with a smile, "Of course it's true." Xiao Yuelon slapped Qin Yun's hand away and said softly, "That dream demon is really bad. Fortunately, Xiao Yun, you acted in time. Otherwise, Anne's mind would definitely be greatly affected." Thinking back to what happened just now, Xiao Xianxin's jade face could not help but turn red. She said softly, "Let's continue on our way." Qin Yun asked in puzzlement, "Aunt Xiao, why did we fall into that illusion maze formation?" "I'm not sure. That illusion maze formation is not from the Blue Leaf Sacred Forest, but it suddenly appeared." Xiao Xianxin sighed softly. "It might be because of the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Could it be that there's a mysterious power that wants to stop us from heading to our destination?" Qin Yun looked at Xiao Yuelon and said in shock, "It should be." Xiao Yuelon nodded and said, "Didn't Father say before that no matter who you meet, you must kill them decisively?" Qin Yun nodded. "If I meet an acquaintance again, I will definitely attack decisively." Xiao Xianxin shook her head and said, "Xiao Yun, that might not be the case. Your father must have also experienced the illusion maze formation and suffered a great loss. And we have successfully broken through the illusion maze formation. If you meet an acquaintance, you should be more cautious. What if your father suddenly appears? Are you going to make a move too? Chapter 14:23. Hedgehog Ape Xiao, Xin Xin brought Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon into this kind of earth immortal holy land. The pressure is very great because Xiao Yuelon and Qin Yun have just become Xin immortals. If they encounter something powerful, they don't have enough strength to deal with it. As long as we don't fall into that kind of maze, we will be safe if we avoid the inscription beasts. Xiao Xianqin looked at the red compass in Qin Yun's hand and felt a lot more at ease. What she was most worried about was encountering those powerful inscription beasts. The three of them slowly made their way through the forest. At night, the trees in the blue leaf sacred forest would turn a deep blue and emit a faint, cold blue light. Although the forest wasn't dark, it was very strange. Qin Yun suddenly took out the magic mirror. It was Yang Shuiwei contacting him. "Sister Yang, what's the matter?" asked Qin Yun. Xiao Yun, the immortal emperor of the Long family, personally came to the entrance of the Moon Palace. He said that Yulan and Xianqin had a conflict with the Long family's Long Ruoheo, and not long after, Long Ruoheo died. The other 10 Earth Immortals, protecting Long Ruoheo, also died together. Yang Shuiwei said, "Xiao Yun, you're with Yuelon, right?" "Big Sister Yang, it's like this. We indeed had a conflict inside the Blue Leaf Sacred Forest. Long Ruoheo even took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Then a very strong inscription beast appeared and killed them. As a result, we were heavily injured and were chased into the depths of the Blue Leaf Sacred Forest." Qin Yun thought for a moment and decided to temporarily deceive Yang Shiryu. "All right, I understand. Then you must be careful," Yang Shiryu said very calmly because she knew that Qin Yun was lying. Qin Yun cut off the connection and contacted Immortal Emperor Demonic Mirror. He got him to take Lu Jiayin and company away and asked them to keep it a secret. Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Xianqin also heard from the side. They knew Qin Yun's intention. He did not want the upper echelons of the Guanghan Palace to know about it for the time being, in case they revealed any flaws when dealing with the Long family. The Long family only suspects that Long Ruoheo's death is related to the Moon Palace, but they don't have any concrete evidence. Back then, we were surrounded by more than 10 Earth Immortals. Based on common sense, it is impossible for us to kill them. Xiao Yuelon said with a smile. The Long family definitely doesn't know that the Devil Mirror disciples are also participating. Xiao Xianqin said. Even if we know that Lu Jiayin and the others are participating based on common sense, we are still not a match for those dozen or so Earth Immortals. They can't blame it on us. If Qin Yun had not temporarily provided a lot of holy tier equipment, Xiao Xianqin and Lu Jiayin would have thought that they were finished. 2 days passed. In the past 2 days, Qin Yun and company did not rest at all. Because they did not run very fast, they did not consume much energy. Xiao Xianqin was indeed an outstanding guide, avoiding several mazes. Even Qin Yun was unable to discover the strange maze formation. If only he and Xiao Yuelon entered, they would definitely accidentally enter the maze formation. He contacted Qin Long and Xie Kuru several times along the way, but did not receive any response from them, which made him even more worried. The tree trunks here have become taller and bigger. This means that we are not in the outside area, but have entered the dangerous area of the Blue Leaf Sacred Forest. Xiao Xianqin patted a big tree and said seriously, "The energy released from this dangerous area is very strong. Qin Yun can sense the divine power aura coming from the Sun Divine Stone. Yes, this dangerous area can give birth to many strange flowers, herbs, and divine fruits. Therefore, there will be many inscription beasts and Earth Immortal beasts." Xiao Xianqin held a golden long saber in her hand. It is the holy saber that Qin Yun lent her. When Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon saw that Xiao Xianqin is very cautious, They also became vigilant. They constantly released their mental power, sweeping out wave after wave to detect if there are any beasts nearby. In the evening, the forest became dusky. The dark green trees released a faint cold light. The red compass in Qin Yun's hand suddenly trembled. The pointer on it pointed towards one direction. There's a situation. An inscription beast is approaching. Qin Yun suddenly shouted. Xiao Xianqin looked at the compass in Qin Yun's hand and followed the direction of the pointer. She also sensed a very strong aura. Xiao Yuelon took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow and asked, Aunt, can you defeat that guy? I don't know. In short, that inscription beast is rushing over very quickly. I don't know what kind of inscription beast it is. Xiao Xianqin tightly gripped the holy saber and said in a deep voice, You guys leave first. I'll block the inscription beast. Let's go together. Qin Yun also took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow. This won't do. If that inscription beast can come over, it must have sensed our aura. We will definitely be chased by it. Xiao Xianqin coldly looked ahead and said solemnly, I don't know why such a powerful inscription beast would appear here. Qin Yun promptly took out the floating cloud pagoda. The floating cloud pagoda is very sturdy. It can even resist immortal kings. Let's go in first. Qin Yun sensed the aura of the approaching inscription beast and fiercely pulled Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Xianqin into the floating cloud pagoda. Originally, Xiao Xianqin wanted to fight, but she did not expect that Qin Yun would pull her into the floating cloud pagoda. Is this pagoda safe? Xiao Xianqin is on the first floor, looking at the dark green light beam rushing over. Boom! The light beam hit the floating cloud pagoda and produced a loud explosion. However, the floating cloud pagoda is very stable. There is not a bit of damage. Of course it is safe. Qin Yun laughed. Aunt Xiao, you can rest assured. Xiao Yuelon looked at the pagoda and said with smile, Xiao Yun, your star-traveling pagoda has been destroyed. You found such a powerful pagoda so quickly. Qin Yun laughed. The situation of the floating cloud pagoda is very complicated. He cannot explain it clearly to Xiao Yuelon in a few words. The windows of the floating cloud pagoda are very special. You cannot see inside from outside, but you can see outside from inside. Now the door has been closed by Qin Yun. The floating cloud pagoda looks like a dilapidated stone building. Qin Yun looked back and forth from the windows on the four walls, but he cannot see anything outside. Now the floating cloud pagoda is surrounded by dark green light. He took out the compass and saw that the needle is pointing towards a direction. That direction is filled with large trees. The inscription beast is hiding behind a huge tree trunk. It is very difficult to see it. I wonder what kind of inscription beast it is. Qin Yun looked towards that direction. It can't go on like this. You must hurry on with your journey. Xiao Xianqin said, How about I go out and test how powerful that inscription beast is? If it is not very strong, I can beat it and run away. Qin Yun promptly shook his head and said, What if it is very strong? Aunt Xiao, don't take this kind of risk. Xiao Yuelon nodded and said, Aunt, don't go out. We will wait here for a few days and see. I have sacred saber in my hand and also the sacred tear armor you gave me. There won't be any problem. Xiao Xianqin can see that Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon are very concerned about her, and her heart feels warm. She said with faint smile, Xiao Yun, you lent me these sacred tear equipment. Didn't you want me to go fight? But that is a very strong inscription beast. I am afraid you will be in danger. Qin Yun is still very worried because he has encountered many inscription beasts. They're all very strong, much stronger than humans. It's all right. Xiao Xianqin is determined to go out and said, That inscription beast is very patient. If we don't leave, when we reach the depths of Blue Leaf Sacred Forest? Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon looked at each other and then took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Aunt, if you feel that something is wrong, run back very quickly. Xiao Yuelon warned, Don't try to be brave. Got it. Xiao Xianqin nodded. Qin Yun can only open the door and let Xiao Xianqin go out. He and Xiao Yuelon also stood at the door. After Xiao Xianqin went out, Qin Yun took out the Lion King cannon and inserted his sun-suppressing divine arrow into the cannon. A strange cry suddenly came out. A huge tree trunk in front of them suddenly exploded, and a figure covered in dark green light rushed out from the tree trunk. After the dark green figure flew out, it was accompanied by a dark green gale that enveloped Xiao Xianqin. Hoochie! A fierce gale attacked. It actually brought along many green thorns. Xiao Xianqin waved the sacred saber in her hand. Through the sacred saber, she released even stronger earth immortal power, transforming it into a wave of power that shot towards all the green thorns. Inside the floating cloud pagoda, Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelan can now see what kind of inscription beast it is. The inscription beast looks very much like a human. Its entire body is covered in green fur. It stands upright like a human, and its back is like a hedgehog. There are many green thorns that flickered with dark green light, and a faint dark green mist floated in the air. It's a hedgehog ape. It's poisonous, Qin Yin promptly shouted. Xiao Xianqin also noticed the poisonous mist. She pushed her jade-like palm forward and released a burst of zither string trembling sound. It turned into mental sound wave and blocked all the green poisonous gas coming from all directions. The hedgehog ape's speed is very fast. It flashed a few times and moved back and forth behind the tree trunk. Fortunately, Xiao Xianqin has very strong mental power. She can immediately lock onto the hedgehog ape's position. Hoochie! Hoochie! Another wave of sharp thorns shot over like a dense shower. This time, the thorns are even longer and bigger, their power even more ferocious. Xiao Xianqin did not directly face them. Instead, she quickly dodged. Boom, boom, boom. Those dark green thorns flew out and hit a large area of trees. Every thorn seemed to be controlled by mental power as they pierced into the giant trees, causing them to explode into pieces. Not long after, all the trees within a few thousand meters were smashed to the ground by the hedgehog ape. A very spacious area appeared, which made it more convenient for him to release the poisonous thorns. The hedgehog ape's poisonous thorns mainly came from its back. Once released, they would immediately grow back, and it was extremely fast. This thing is not at the Tao immortal level. Ant should be able to deal with it. Xiao Yuelan's expression is solemn as she seriously watched the battle between Xiao Xianqin and the hedgehog ape. Her hand is still tightly gripping the sun, suppressing divine arrow. The hedgehog ape and Ant Xiao should be neck and neck in a short period of time. If it takes a long time, it might be different, Qin Yun said. After all, this is a sacred land filled with danger. The longer this drags on, the more disadvantageous it will be for Ant Xiao. Xiao Yuelan nodded and said, "We need to go out and help Ant." Chapter 14:24. Sacred Forest Mountain. At this moment, Xiao Xianqin had also probed out the approximate strength of the hedgehog ape. Although it was not very strong, it was not weak either. The hedgehog ape is an inscription beast. It has a lot of energy in its body, and it is poisonous, so it is not easy to deal with. Even if Xiao Xianqin had holy level equipment, it would be difficult for her to kill the hedgehog ape in a short period of time. However, she also planned to fight a protracted battle and make the hedgehog ape retreat. Xiao Yuelan and Qin Yun were both unable to sit still. At this moment, they wanted to go out and help Xiao Xianqin. "Yuelan, this is for you to wear." Qin Yun took out a set of blue sacred tier armor and handed it to Xiao Yuelan. After Xiao Yuelan put it on, she said, "Xiao Yun, your and my strength are far inferior to the hedgehog ape, but we have the sun-suppressing divine arrow in our hands. We can easily pierce through many very solid things. And this is the key to our victory." Qin Yun nodded and said, "I will go out first." With that, he rushed out. Xiao Xianqin is very worried when she saw Qin Yun suddenly rush out. "Aunt Xiao, I will help you." Qin Yun rushed over and released Heaven and Earth Devil Sealing Goblet. The hedgehog ape let out a strange cry when it saw something covering it. Suddenly, many half-a-meter-long spikes emerged from its back and shot towards the Heaven and Earth Devil Sealing Goblet. The sharp thorns surged up like a violent wind, sending the Heaven and Earth Devil Sealing Goblet flying. At this moment, Xiao Yuan suddenly appeared not far behind the hedgehog ape and threw the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Xiao. After Xiao Yuan poured a very strong immortal power into the sun-suppressing divine arrow, it emitted a deep red flame and shot towards the hedgehog ape like light. The hedgehog ape's thorns had been used up when it was blocking the heaven and earth devil sealing goblet. However, the hedgehog ape's speed was very fast. After sensing the terrifying power of the sun-suppressing divine arrow, it immediately dodged. The sun-suppressing divine arrow missed its target and pierced into the trunk of a huge tree. With a boom sound, the tree trunk was broken. Xiao Xianqin suddenly rushed over and slashed at the hedgehog ape. The holy saber released a faint holy power, accompanied by a sharp whistling sound. It fiercely slashed down. Who? This slash was also executed by Xiao Xianqin using a very strong earth immortal power. Although it was very fast and strong, the hedgehog ape was still able to dodge it. The explosive force of the saber left a deep ravine in the ground and broke dozens of giant trees. Xiao Yun, Xiao Xianqin, and Xiao Yuan suddenly shouted in alarm because the hedgehog ape was charging at Qinyan. Moreover, the green poisonous spikes on the hedgehog ape's back had already grown out. Hoo-hoo! The poisonous stingers on the back of the hedgehog ape suddenly shot out. They were not aimed at Qinyan. Instead, they transformed into two poisonous stinger gales. They brought along a dark green poisonous gas as they charged towards Xiao Yuan and Xiao Xianqin. Foolish humans, you're so weak, yet you dare to attack me? The hedgehog ape sneered. At this moment, Xiao Yuan and Xiao Xianqin had to withstand the gust of poisonous thorns. Even if they wanted to rush to Qinyan's side, it would be too late. Seeing the hedgehog ape rushing over, Qinyan promptly controlled the heaven and earth devil sealing goblet to descend. Just now, the heaven and earth devil sealing goblet was shrunk by him. Now that it suddenly appeared, it caught the hedgehog ape off guard, and it was immediately enveloped. Xiao Xianqin was the first to break free from the green poisonous thorns and hastily ran towards Qinyan. As she flew over, the hedgehog ape also broke free from the heaven and earth devil sealing goblet. The sacred saber in Xiao Xianqin's hand suddenly surged with incomparably berserk earth immortal power, rippling out a burst of golden mist, like a ferocious wave roaring. Boom! Just as she rushed over, she saw the hedgehog ape break free from the heaven and earth devil sealing goblet, and then took the opportunity to slash down. No matter how strong the leather armor on the hedgehog ape's body is, it can't withstand a powerful sacred tool. A large gash appeared on its body, and green, poisonous blood spurted out. At this moment, Xiao Yuan also rushed over. Qinyan and Xiao Yuan stabbed the sun-suppressing divine arrow in their hands into the hedgehog ape's head at almost the same time. After they stabbed the sun-suppressing divine arrow, they quickly pulled it out. And Xiao Xianqin continuously hacked with her saber dozens of times, chopping the hedgehog ape into pieces. It's all right. Xiao Xianqin let out a long breath, then looked at Qinyan and Xiao Yuan with hidden bitterness. Her voice is somewhat stern as she said, "It's really too dangerous. You two are really something. Just now you didn't let me come out, and now you actually took the risk to come out. You're just first-layer Xian immortals, and you want to fight against this kind of powerful inscription beast? Aren't we fine?" Xiao Yuan said with a charming smile. "Next time, you're not allowed to act recklessly." Xiao Xianqin said with light anger and then patted Qinyan and Xiao Yuan's head, as if she is lecturing a child. Xiao Yuan smiled and pulled Xiao Xianqin's lily-white hand. She said, "Aunt, let's quickly rest and then continue on our journey." Although the battle just now was not long, they used a lot of power and consumed a lot of energy. They worked together to clean up the hedgehog ape's body and then entered the floating cloud pagoda. It is now nighttime, and they are resting inside the floating cloud pagoda. To everyone's surprise, the tree that had been destroyed just now had actually grown back overnight. Qin Yun also saw this kind of strange phenomenon when he was in the Dragon Tiger Divine Mountain. He never expected that the powerful blue trees here could also grow back so quickly. It seems like this blue leaf sacred forest is becoming more and more dangerous. Xiao Xianxin is sitting beside the window and looking at the trees growing back. Her expression is grave as she said, "When I came here before, it was not this dangerous." Xiao Yuelon said, "There must be something hidden inside. It is related to our sun-suppressing divine arrow. I can't contact Dad and Sister Kiru. What happened to them?" Qin Yun is holding the magic mirror. He is very worried. There shouldn't be any problem. Maybe they went to some space, so the magic mirror can't contact them? Xiao Yuelon said, "Maybe. I will contact Rujing and the others." Qin Yun contacted Xian Rujing. Xian Rujing very quickly replied, "Xiao Yun, our situation here is very dangerous. We can't talk to you for now. We are running for our lives." "Running for your lives? What kind of danger did you encounter?" Qin Yun hastily asked. "We encountered 9 Extinction Sect Master. Azure Dragon is also here. They were seriously injured. It was Yu who saved them and brought them along to run for their lives," Xian Rujing said. Xian Rujing finished speaking and cut off the connection. 9 Extinction Sect Master is an immortal king. That Azure Dragon's strength should not be immortal king, yet he went to the same place as Yu who is an immortal emperor. It seems like Divine Arrow's mission is not that easy to accomplish. Xiao Xianqin lightly sighed and said, "Rest assured, I will do my best to help you." Qin Yun is sitting beside the window and resting. Xiao Yuelon is leaning on his body and also resting with her eyes closed. Foster father is Netherworld Great Emperor. He is also an immortal emperor, right? I wonder if he is also with Yu. Qin Yun thought in his heart. He only knows that Divine Arrow's mission is to protect the 9 Suns' heart. Xiao Yun, they will be fine. There is sun-suppressing Divine Arrow. Ling Yun comforted Qin Yun and said softly, "Don't worry, quickly rest." Qin Yun nodded, then closed his eyes, hugged Xiao Yuelon's delicate body, and also entered a state of rest. Xiao Xianqin is sitting beside another window, looking at Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon hugging each other. She cannot help but smile in gratification. But soon after, her heart is in a mess. She recalled the experience inside the illusion maze formation, daybreak. The entire night was very calm. No beasts appeared. Qin Yun and company have rested their minds. After walking out of the floating cloud pagoda, they continued rushing towards the direction pointed by the sun-suppressing divine arrow. With Xiao Xianqin leading the way, coupled with the red compass, Qin Yun and company can be considered to be relatively smooth and safely enter the depths of the blue leaf sacred forest. Especially those maze formations, they are all naturally formed. After Xiao Xianqin approached, she quickly discovered them and then circled around those maze formations. The deeper they go, the more various kinds of natural formations there are. What surprised them is that there is a very strong great formation that actually trapped a very strong inscription beast. They also circled around, not daring to approach. This blue leaf sacred forest is simply a hell formed by array formations. As Xiao Yuelon walked, she said with lingering fear, "If not for Aunt Xiao leading the way, we would have definitely been trapped. I also don't know how Father and Sister Kiru entered the depths." Qin Yun sighed and said, "They must have entered the deepest part." Xiao Xianqin originally felt a lot of pressure, but because Qin Yun has the floating cloud pagoda, he can hide in it at the critical moment. This made her feel a lot more at ease. Even if they encounter great danger, they can still preserve their lives. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Xianqin brought Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon into the blue leaf sacred forest for more than a month. After entering the blue leaf sacred forest for a month, Qin Yun, Xiao Yuelon, and Xiao Xianqin have experienced countless thrilling dangers. One time, they were even surrounded by several inscription beasts. Fortunately, they hid inside the floating cloud pagoda and let those inscription beasts beat them until they were tired and then left. Under the guidance of the sun-suppressing divine arrow, Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon found a very large black mountain in the depths of the blue leaf sacred forest. The base of the black mountain is tens of thousands of meters wide. It is impossible to see the peak from below. This huge black mountain suddenly appeared in the forest. Previously, they were unable to see it from afar. Only when they approached the area did the huge black mountain appear. Is this our destination? Xiao Xianqin looked at the incomparably shocking huge black mountain in front of her and said with some fear, "Why do I feel that there is something very strong inside? There should be a cave or something." Qin Yun said, "Let's go in and take a look first." These days, while resting in the floating cloud pagoda, Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon tried to communicate with the mysterious voice inside the sun-suppressing divine arrow, but to no avail. Right now, they can only brace themselves and continue moving forward. A few days ago, when Qin Yun tried to contact Xian Rujing, he discovered that he could not contact her. "There's a cave." Xiao Yuelon took out a telescope tool and observed it. She said, "I wonder what's inside. Such a big mountain. Don't tell me it's a very big seal. Since you're here, you must complete the mission." "Let's go in." Xiao Xianqin held the sacred saber and walked in front. Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon also took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow and followed behind Xiao Xianqin. They carefully walked towards the huge black mountain. The cave is shrouded in black fog. It is very big, tens of meters tall. However, compared to the huge mountain, it is still too small. However, it still gives people a very terrifying feeling. It makes people feel that a huge beast can run out at any time. Chapter 1425. Heart Yang Realm. After entering the cave of the huge black mountain, Xiao Yuelon took out her magic mirror and said in astonishment, "Xiao Yun, is there a problem with my magic mirror? I can't check any information." Qin Yun took it and looked at it. Then he took out his own magic mirror and discovered that there's also a problem with his magic mirror. It's not that there's a problem, it's just that after entering this mountain, a power separated the space. Qin Yun said, "The magic mirror mainly transmits information through space runes. If there's a very strong barrier that can isolate the power of space, the magic mirror will lose its effectiveness." Xiao Xianqin said, "Xiao Yun, we could still contact your father before, but later we couldn't contact him. Could it be because he entered this cave? And that sister Karu, you guys have been unable to contact her. Did she also enter this cave? It's extremely possible that there is some kind of power in this cave that restricts the transmission of space. Or perhaps the operation of space here is different from outside, so the magic mirror lost its effectiveness here." Qin Yun promptly took out 2 soul-chasing talismans, one for Qin Long and one for Xie Karu. The soul-chasing talisman did not lose its effectiveness because it mainly relies on sensing weak soul fluctuations. Xie Karu and Qin Long entered this cave and left behind a certain amount of soul fluctuations, so they can sense it. Qin Yun promptly made a few soul-chasing talismans and gave 2 to Xiao Xianqin. He said, "Aunt Xiao, if we get separated, we can use the soul-chasing talismans to find each other." And he and Xiao Yuelon each have a soul-chasing talisman that can track Xiao Xianqin. "Aunt, why don't you go back first? There might be danger inside." Xiao Yuelon suddenly said, "I have the sun-suppressing divine arrow, so I must complete my mission. But you are different. What if something unexpected happens? It's because it's very dangerous that I have to follow you." Xiao Xianqin glared at Xiao Yuelon and said with slight anger, "We have a friendship of 2 lifetimes. You little girl, you don't even treat me as your aunt. You don't treat me as your good sister. I'm also worried about you." Xiao Yuelon promptly pulled Xiao Xianqin's hand and said softly, "If I'm in danger, you will definitely disregard everything. Are you the only one who is loyal, and I'm not allowed to be loyal?" Xiao Xianqin scolded with a smile, then pinched Xiao Yuelon's face and said with a smile, "Let's go in. With Xiao Yun's floating cloud pagoda, I will be very safe." Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon do not wish to implicate Xiao Xianqin because they do not know what dangers lie ahead. When Xiao Xianqin saw Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon's expressions, she deliberately stomped her feet angrily and muttered, "You too! Do you think I'm unnecessary and disturb your love?" "Of course not, Aunt Xiao. We really don't want to involve you in this," Qin Yun hurriedly explained. "Don't say any more. I am an earth immortal, and I have your divine instrument. I'm not weak. If I can't even protect myself, let alone the two of you." Xiao Xianqin curled her lips and said, "Why are the two of you so sentimental?" As expected of a pair, Xiao Yuelon and Qin Yun looked at each other helplessly. They could only let Xiao Xianqin follow them in. Xiao Xianqin said, "Xiao Yun, your father must have been trapped in the forest for a period of time. Later on, he escaped and entered this cave. That's why you were unable to contact him. It should be like this. It's good that he can smoothly arrive here." Qin Yun said, "We should be able to see him very soon. Don't you think it's strange? Father and Sister Kiru should be Xian immortals now, right? You and I are also Xian immortals. Why did the sun-suppressing divine arrow choose us for Xian immortals?" Xiao Yuelon said, "I don't know, but this is definitely not a coincidence. However, Sister Rujing is also a Xian immortal, and she was not brought over. Qin Yun is very doubtful. Sister Rujing and the others have uneven cultivation levels. Non-Extinction Sect Master is an immortal king. Azure Dragon should not be an immortal king. Sister Rujing is a Xian immortal, and Sister Yu Yu is an immortal emperor." Xiao Xianqin said, "What about the Netherworld Great Emperor? I wonder if he's also at Palace Master Yu Yu's side? Maybe over there." Qin Yun walked inside the cold cave and took out light-emitting stones to illuminate the four walls. They're all very flat stone walls. There are no runes on them. This huge mountain is very big, and the huge cave is also straight ahead. There is no beast-type aura here. What does this cave lead to? Qin Yun has been carefully observing the situation inside the cave. Their speed of advancement is relatively slow. This will allow them to clearly investigate the situation ahead. Could it be that the place we're going to is not inside this cave? It seems very calm inside. Xiao Yuelon said, "The calmer it is, the more flustered I feel." Qin Yun released even more light-emitting stones and used his mental power to control them to roll on the ground, illuminating the area ahead. He mainly looked at the ground to see if there are any footprints left behind. He is also holding the tracking talisman used to track Qin Long and Siekaru. After they walked inside the cave for several hours, the two tracking talismans suddenly stopped reacting. "What's going on? There's no reaction?" Qin Yun said in alarm. They should have been inside the cave before, but suddenly disappeared. Or maybe they went to another space. Xiao Xianqin said, "Xiao Yun, don't worry. They have the sun-suppressing divine arrow in their hands. It won't be that easy for something to happen to them." Qin Yun looked ahead and said, "This cave seems to be very deep." They had thought that the cave would lead them to the belly of the giant mountain, but after walking quickly for 2 days, they realized that it was very strange. The distance they had walked in the cave was long enough to pass through the giant mountain. But now, they still couldn't see the end. This meant that the path inside the cave had a space inside, thus forming a very long passage. Could it be that we're going to pass through this passage to another space world? Xiao Yuelon took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow and said, "The mission of the sun-suppressing divine arrow is to protect the Nine Suns' heart. The Nine Suns' heart must be hidden at the destination. Now that it is under threat, we need to protect it." They walked for 3 days, and suddenly there was movement in front of them. Several tents suddenly appeared in this huge cave. Those tents are all golden and dazzling, and there are some totems carved on them. Those totems are somewhat similar to the sun totem on the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Suddenly, more than 10 people walked out of the tents. They are all wearing mighty golden armor, long swords on their backs, and golden helmets on their heads. Their bodies are releasing waves of hot air, making people feel as if they are being illuminated by the fierce rays of the sun. The person in the lead is a bearded middle-aged man. His eyes are like two small fireballs, flickering with light as he stared at the sun-suppressing divine arrow in Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelan's hands. The two of you are the chosen ones? Aren't you too weak? The middle-aged man said with an ice-cold and indifferent tone. Who are you? Qin Yun asked. We are the heart-protecting divine race that protects the Nine Suns' heart. Although you have been chosen by the sun-suppressing divine arrow, you might not be able to obtain it. The middle-aged man said. You should know that your mission is to protect the sun's heart. Xiao Yuelan asked. We have been chosen by the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Where are we going to complete our mission? You need to face the Xieyang race. They are a group of extremely vicious fellows. I don't think you are qualified to take on this heavy responsibility. The middle-aged man's voice is filled with contempt as he said, no matter what, you have finally brought the sun-suppressing divine arrow and can be considered to have passed the first stage of the assessment. Next, we will make you stronger and then use the sun-suppressing divine arrow to fight against the Xieyang race. Qin Yun looked at Xiao Xianqin, then said to the middle-aged man, This is our friend. Can she come with us? Of course she can. She is much stronger than the two of you. We welcome experts. After the middle-aged man finished speaking, he took out a large mirror and pointed it at a stone wall. The stone wall was illuminated and spatial fluctuations appeared. Let's go. I will bring you to the Heart Yang realm. That is where the heart of Nine Suns is located. The middle-aged man said, I am Yang Kuei. I am in charge of welcoming you to the Heart Yang realm. Yang Kuei entered the fluctuating wall. Qin Yun and the others also followed. After entering, they arrived at a grassland. After arriving here, they felt a very strange warm light shining down. Looking up, they saw 4 very large balls floating in the air. They looked like 4 very large stars. Those 4 balls look like translucent light, golden crystals. They can clearly see the energy flowing inside. Those are the 4 sun cores. They have always been in the 9 desolate land. They're also the key to the rebirth of the 9 suns. Yang Kuei said. Only 4? Qin Yun said with frown. There are a total of 9. They are stored in 3 different places. 4 here, 4 in another place. The last one is stored separately. Yang Kuei said. This space has a cultivation restriction. Only Earth immortals can enter. Qin Yun said in shock. I thought that the 9 suns cores were scattered all over the 9 desolate. I didn't expect them to be all in the immortal desolate. Immortal desolate is the safest. If it was in divine desolate, with the strength of those gods, they could easily obtain the 9 suns cores. Yang Kuei walked on the grassland and said again, The Xieyang race has a way to enter this place. They're a group of people who can enter through any opening. Fortunately, the Heart Yang realm is strong enough. They can at most send Earth immortals. Immortal Desolate can restrict the experts of Sacred Desolate and Divine Desolate from coming down, and this Heart Yang realm has another restriction. This way, the sun cores are very safe. Yang Kuei said again. In the past few eras, the sun cores were stored in Divine Desolate and protected by the powerful gods of Divine Desolate. However, those guys always thought of how to seize the sun cores and then run far away. Finally, a great battle broke out. The 9 suns had no choice but to exterminate the world ahead of time. 9 suns exterminated the world. Could it be to prevent the sun cores from being snatched away? Xiao Yuelan said in shock. There are many theories as to why the 9 suns exterminated the world. There are many reasons why the 9 suns exterminated the world. It is very complicated. In short, it is undeniable that the 9 suns nurtured the 9 desolate, allowing the 9 desolate to give birth to many powerful creatures. These powerful creatures will eventually go to the vast star sea. Yang Kuei said. Chapter 1426. Xieyang race inside the Heart Yang realm. Qin Yun can sense that the power released by the sun core is very special. It contains even stronger energy. It is the same as the energy inside the core fragment. His heart stirred. He feels that he might be able to awaken the nine-sun divine hammer through the sun core. Were there two people with sun-suppressing divine arrow earlier? Xiao Yuan suddenly asked. A little girl and a middle-aged man. Their strength is not bad. It's just that their cultivation is relatively low, but their potential is very great. Especially that middle-aged man. He has a very strong dragon totem on his face. Moreover, it is a god-level dragon totem. Yang Kuei said, compared to them, the two of you are somewhat lacking. Qin Yun said with smile, we just became Xian immortals. Also, you might not be able to see our hidden strength. Yang Kuei laughed. Youngster, you seem very confident. You should know that you are only delivering the sun-suppressing divine arrow to this place. We can't leave this place. Otherwise, we would have directly gone to get the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Deliver the sun-suppressing divine arrow? Xiao Yuan doesn't understand and said, then won't we have completed our mission? Yang Kuei laughed loudly and said, if you directly hand over the sun-suppressing divine arrow, you can leave immediately. If you truly want to obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow, you still have a chance. It is to prove that you are strong enough. Qin Yun and Xiao Yuan are somewhat doubtful. They looked at each other and then shook their heads. We won't leave. We want the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Qin Yun said, let's say it like this. There are many outstanding warriors here. They are all my clansmen. Because we are restricted and can't leave the Heart Yang realm. After you deliver the sun-suppressing divine arrow, we have the right to take it. However, you can prove that you are stronger than our clansmen and obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow. This way, you can completely obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Yang Kuei said. Qin Yun understood and said with smile, we want to compete with you? That's easy. Qin Yun and Xiao Yuan are very confident in fighting. Xie Yang race people have mastered a special power that allows them to enter the Heart Yang realm and enter the Sun Core. What we need to do is to stop the Xie Yang race from entering and completely destroy them. Yang Kuei said seriously, the sun-suppressing divine arrow's mission is not to be trifled with. Xiao Yuan said, we want to exterminate the Xie Yang race. Aren't we going to their lair? Yang Kuei nodded. When the time comes, we'll need someone who has mastered the sun-suppressing divine arrow. The Heart Yang world was in a special space, and next to it was the evil Yang race's space. Their space could be said to be exactly the same as the Heart Yang world, but it lacked the 4 sun cores. In their space, cultivation is also restricted. 2 spaces in the same state will be easier to communicate with. Qin Yun said with a frown, what is the background of the Xie Yang race? They must have a very brilliant technique, and they must have mastered a profound method of using space. A hint of surprise flashed across Yang Jian's eyes as she nodded and said, indeed so. The level of evil Yang race's inscription is slightly higher than ours, so their equipment is also stronger. Our talents in the field of inscription have withered greatly, and there is a shortage of young and old. That's why it's very difficult to fight against them. That's why we have no choice but to use the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Originally, the sun-suppressing divine arrow was used to suppress the 9 evil suns. 9 evil suns? Is it the Nether Sun? Qin Yun asked in bewilderment. Of course not. Normally, only the 9 suns can be seen. They are naturally born. And the Nether Sun is responsible for devouring the power of nature, then releasing the power from another place, maintaining the balance of nature's power. It is hidden in all kinds of space. It is very difficult to see. And the evil sun was created by some guys. It floats near the 9 suns. It has very strong destructive power. Yang Kuei sighed. In short, the matter of the 9 evil sun is very complicated. If you're lucky enough to go to the mysterious ancient desolate, you will know the specific situation. That is the battlefield where the evil sun and the forces protecting the 9 suns are fighting. Qin Yun knows very little about the mysterious ancient desolate. Now that he heard about the situation there, he is very astonished. Yang Kuei walked in front and said, Don't talk about the mysterious ancient desolate. Even the sacred desolate and divine desolate are very far away. Qin looked at the 4 sun cores in the sky. They look like 4 very big light golden stars. Their whole body is light golden crystal. They look very beautiful, especially when energy flows inside them. They release a burst of warm light. Rumor has it that obtaining the sun-suppressing divine arrow will allow one to know the greatest secret of the 9 suns and 9 desolate. Now, they have indeed touched upon the greatest secret of the 9 suns and 9 desolate. They have seen the core of the 9 suns, the sun core. Uncle Yang, how can we obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow forever? Qin Yun asked. Compete with our clan's warriors. Of course, your cultivation is too low. You have no chance to win against them. We are also fair. We will give you time and opportunity to improve. But time is limited. If you cannot become Earth Immortals within the stipulated time, you will still have to compete with them. Yang Kuei said. Will that middle-aged man and little girl also participate in the competition? Xiao Yuelon asked. They don't need to. We can't take all 4 sun-suppressing divine arrows. We can only take 2 at most. This is a very ancient rule. We don't dare to violate it. Yang Kuei said with a smile. They came early, so they don't need to. If you 2 come late, the sun-suppressing divine arrow in your hands might be obtained by us. Xiao Yuelon said with a light smile. Come at me. I'm not afraid of you. Xiao Xianqin looked all around and asked, How long do we have to walk? About half a day. After we leave this prairie, we will reach our sun tribe. Yang Kuei said, Want to be faster to run? Qin Yin said with a smile. Just as he was about to run, Yang Kuei pulled him back. Don't run around. This prairie is very dangerous if you run too fast. The space will suddenly split open and you will fall in. Yang Kuei said in grave tone. Evil sun race people often tear open space from here. Yang Kuei only brought a dozen people with him. Although they look very strong, if they are surrounded, they will still be in danger. This place is actually so dangerous? Then why did you choose this place as the spatial entrance? Xiao Xianqin turned her head to look behind her and said somewhat worriedly, Because the space in this area is relatively weak, it can allow us to connect to the immortal desolate better and more stably. In a safe area, the space is incomparably stable. If we want to open the passage from the immortal desolate, we will need a very large amount of energy. Yang Kuei suddenly stopped. His face is filled with vigilance. Xiao Xianqin suddenly took out her sacred saber and said in low voice, Are we going to fight? Big sister, your saber is very strong. You must be careful during the battle. Don't let it be taken away. Yang Kuei's brows are wrinkled. He also pulled out the sword on his back. Xiao Xianqin really wants to hack someone. This Yang Kuei actually called her big sister. She looks like a young and beautiful girl, just a bit more mature. Yet a middle-aged man actually called her big sister. Yang Kuei and his group of heart-protecting divine race people also saw that Xiao Xianqin's saber is very strong. That's why they are very polite to her. Don't call me big sister, call me Miss Xiao, Xiao Xianqin said. Calling me Beauty Xiao is even better. Qin Yin chuckled. Yang Kuei suddenly felt somewhat embarrassed because the way he addressed Xiao Xianqin just now was indeed somewhat wrong. Everyone, be serious. There's a situation. Yang Kuei's fiery pearl-like eyes looked around and said in a deep voice, Xieyang race people are coming. Put away the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Don't expose it. Xieyang race people like to steal other people's weapons the most. Qin Yin promptly took out the meteor hammer and handed it over to Xiao Yuelon, letting her use it. As for himself, he used the floating cloud rod. The floating cloud rod looks like a long stone rod, but it is very easy to use. Yang Kuei is very knowledgeable. After seeing the meteor hammer in Xiao Yuelon's hand, he is very shocked. His eyes are filled with envy. Previously, he looked down on Qin Yin, but seeing Qin Yin take out the meteor hammer, he realized that Qin Yin's background is extraordinary. Otherwise, he would not have such a thing. Are we unlucky? That's why the Xieyang race people came just as we arrived? Xiao Yuelon's voice is cold and low. she is already prepared to fight. That's right. Yang Kuei finished speaking and suddenly shouted, "In front!" A black hole suddenly appeared in front of them. A piece of space has been torn apart. Roar! Roar! The roar of a ferocious beast came out from the spatial crack. Qinyan also sensed a familiar aura and shouted in a low voice, "It's a ghost beast." He has always felt that it is strange. Where did the ghost beasts come from? Although there are many theories, but now it seems that it is extremely likely that they were created by the Xieyang race. Back then, a large number of ghost beasts and evil beasts appeared in the Cloud Dragon mountain range. It was also very strange. There are also some behind. A large man wearing golden armor shouted in alarm. There are spatial cracks in all directions, and many powerful ghost beasts are rushing over. Those ghost beasts' main body are all kinds of beasts, but they look very terrifying and ferocious. Their bodies are black, red, green, and all of them are emitting an evil aura. There are also many people behind the horde of ghost beasts. Such a large-scale attack. Could it be an ambush? They know that we brought people from the Immortal Desolate. Yang Kuei shouted in alarm. "Captain, we can't beat them." A middle-aged man tightly gripped his sword. "There are too many of them." Tens of thousands of ghost beasts came from all directions. They are like a ferocious wave that overflowed the heavens, bringing along a wave of foul stench and evil aura. Accompanied by a heaven-shaking roar, they rushed over and produced a loud bang. And the most terrifying thing is the people behind the horde of ghost beasts. There are only a few hundred of them, but their auras are extremely powerful. Qin Yun promptly turned the floating cloud rod in his hand into a floating cloud pagoda and shouted, "Quickly go in." No matter how strong Yang Kuei and company are, no matter how much equipment they have, they will not be able to exterminate those ghost beasts in a short period of time, let alone the powerful Xieyang race people. Can this stone building work? Yang Kuei saw that the exterior of the stone building is somewhat dilapidated and asked, "Don't worry about it. Let's go in and talk." Qin Yun shouted, then rushed in with Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Xinqin. Chapter 14:27. Floating Cloud Town. However, not long after, the floating cloud pagoda was surrounded by all kinds of ghost beasts. Although they were not large in size, there were many of them, and they were all very strong. The ghost beasts rushed over and spewed all sorts of energy or venom at the floating cloud pagoda. In the blink of an eye, the floating cloud pagoda was bombarded by all kinds of evil ghost beast energy and venom, causing it to tremble continuously. Inside the floating cloud pagoda, Yang Kuei and the others were all frightened. They thought that this shabby stone tower would not be able to withstand for long before it was smashed to pieces. However, after a round of fierce attacks from the ghost beasts, it was still incomparably strong. Qin Yun sat on a chair, crossed his legs, and drank flower tea. He said with a smile, "Uncle Yang, sit down and drink tea. Patiently wait for your people to come and rescue us. Don't tell me that your heart-protecting God clan won't come to our rescue. Of course they will come." Yang Kuei stood by the window, staring at the ferocious and ugly ghost beasts that kept attacking. He did not go over to drink tea, because he was still a little worried that the stone building would be breached. The other members of the Heart Protector God clan did the same. They were all looking out from the four walls and prepared to break through the stone building. Xiao Xinqin and Xiao Yuelon are very calm because they are very clear about the floating cloud pagoda's defenses. Previously, Xiao Xinqin was the same as Yang Kuei. She was very worried that the floating cloud pagoda would be destroyed by the inscription beasts. However, after experiencing it a few times, she knew that it would be very difficult to destroy the floating cloud pagoda. Boom, boom. The outside was constantly shaking, but the inside of the floating cloud pagoda only had a relatively low shaking sound. Even if it was a very strong energy, it would only make the floating cloud pagoda tremble slightly. After a while, the ghost beasts stopped attacking. It was obvious that they had consumed a lot of energy. At this time, a large group of people dressed in black and wearing masks rushed over with all kinds of weapons in their hands. They madly hacked at the outer wall of the floating cloud pagoda. The weapons hit the outer wall of the floating cloud pagoda, making clanking sounds, but the floating cloud pagoda remained motionless. Yang Kuei looked at Qin Yun, who was calmly drinking his tea. He suddenly felt that Qin Yun was not a simple person. Not only did he possess a sacred artifact like the meteor hammer, but he also possessed a building with such a powerful defense. Those guys are from the Xieyang race? Xiao Yuelon asked. Yes, they're all very strong. Yang Kuei said, we don't have to be afraid if there aren't many of them. However, they have such a large team. A dozen of us are no match for them. When will your people come to the rescue? Xiao Xinqin asked. I don't know yet. It should be soon. The commotion here was so loud that they will definitely find out. Yang Kuei was relieved. The ghost beasts outside were surrounded by the floating cloud pagoda. Around the floating cloud pagoda were various black-clothed and masked men. They were wielding weapons and slashing at the ghost beasts. Bang, bang, bang. The people who were randomly opening the floating cloud pagoda suddenly released a very strong force, causing the floating cloud pagoda to shake. The commotion was much louder than before. Little brother, how long can your pagoda last? Yang Kuei asked. I don't know. It's been a long time. Qin Yun laughed. Don't worry. The strongest among them are only Earth immortals. Moreover, they don't have any divine tools, so they will be fine. In this space, the strongest can only be a 9th stage Earth immortal. They can't surpass this realm, otherwise they will be crushed to death by this space. Yang Kuei said with certainty. He is now also wiping his sweat. Although they have fought with the evil Yang race many times, this time they felt the most fear. After all, they are surrounded. If not for Qin Yun's floating cloud pagoda, they would have been captured. The people outside attacked for a while and realized that the floating cloud pagoda is very difficult to break through, so they stopped. Yang Kuei, are you hiding inside? Someone suddenly shouted from outside. Qin Yun suddenly opened the door, causing Yang Kuei to panic. After the people outside saw the door open, they suddenly concentrated their attacks on the door. However, they were blocked by the door's barrier. This floating cloud pagoda absorbed the sun, Altar's god, Altar Origin Crystal. It has abundant energy, and the barrier it released is also under Qin Yun's control. After a wave of frenzied attacks, they were unable to shake the barrier in the slightest, so they could only give up. Yang Kuei immediately became very confident. He shouted to a middle-aged man outside, How can I be called a turtle? We are surrounded by so many of you. Qin Yun walked to the door and said with a smile to the people outside, You are all a bunch of trash, a bunch of trash. So many people and beasts, yet you are unable to break in. You actually have the face to stand in front of us and make a fool of yourselves. No wonder you are all wearing masks. It seems like you also know that you have no face to see people. Yang Kuei also laughed loudly and said, Xie Tailing, do you know that you are making a fool of yourselves? Hurry up and scram. Xie Tailing said angrily, Yang Kuei, if you have the guts, come out and fight. What are you hiding inside? You trash, if you have the guts, then come out and fight. You brought so many people and beasts, yet you can't even take down more than 10 of us. What's the point of you living? Hurry up and commit suicide. Qin Yun shouted with smile. Who are you? How dare you speak to me like that? Xie Tailing shouted coldly. I am the great general of the evil Yang race. Who do you think you are? Even Yang Kuei's rank is lower than mine. Bullshit, great general. You called your grandfather over to talk to me. A little bastard like you is so arrogant in front of me. I'm not even angry. Why are you angry? Qin Yun said with smile. The evil Yang race people outside immediately became extremely angry. They all shouted loudly, Kill! 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 Qin Yun laughed loudly and said, Kill! A bunch of dogs that only know how to bark. Look at you. You are like stupid dogs that can only bark and not bite. Boom, boom, boom. The evil Yang race people immediately became extremely angry and crazily attacked the floating cloud pagoda. Ha ha ha! Qin Yun laughed loudly from inside. Yang Kuei is also very happy and laughing loudly because the famous great general Xie Tailing has suffered a setback. He is being cursed, but he can do nothing. Stop! Xie Tai-ming coldly shouted because he knew that no attack would have any effect. All right, I want to see when your heart-protecting divine race will come and save you. If they don't come, we won't leave. Let's see how long you can hide. Xie Tailing said with sneer. They will come very soon. Yang Kuei shouted loudly. Ha ha, you don't know that your tribe is surrounded, right? Yang Kuei, I know that you have 4 sun-suppressing divine arrows. That's why I launched a surprise attack on you. Xie Tailing laughed loudly and said. The ghost beasts and people outside also started shouting one after another to increase their momentum. Yang Kuei's expression sank. He suddenly became worried. Qin Yin closed the door and said, You guys wait here, I will go up and see if there is any way to attack those guys outside. He promptly entered the disc at the corner and used it to teleport to the 20th floor. The altar in the middle of the 20th floor is a very small star god altar. There is a small golden statue on top of it. It is the statue of Qin Yun holding the 9-sun divine hammer. Floating cloud pagoda should be able to attack. Qin Yun has never studied it before. He only came to take a look because he suddenly felt that it is necessary. He feels that the statue should be the key to controlling the floating cloud pagoda. How can I attack it? Let's give it a try. Qin Yun closed his eyes and seriously immersed his mental power into the small statue. Qin Yun held the small statue in his hand, and after his mental power penetrated into the small statue, he suddenly sensed some information. What surprised him is that even though his eyes are closed, it is as if he is standing at the top of the floating cloud pagoda. Looking down at the surroundings of the pagoda, he can see very clearly. He saw a large number of ghost beasts and black, clothed, masked men around him. Could it be that I can really attack? Qin Yun's heart stirred. He has been meditating to attack. Not long after, he felt that the top of the pagoda is condensing power. The top of the pagoda is absorbing the energy of the Heart-Yang realm and slowly condensing a light golden ball of light. I can attack. Qin Yun is ecstatic, but he discovered that the condensed light ball is very slow and its power is not very strong. At most, it is only the power of the 4th or 5th level of Xian Immortal. Is it because my cultivation is too low? Qin Yun saw that the light ball at the top of the pagoda condensed for a while, and then could not continue to grow. How many there are? Qin Yun locked onto the ghost beasts in an area, and then shot out the light ball. Boom! After the ghost beasts in that area were hit, a large flame burst out and burned fiercely. Great! Qin Yun saw a large number of ghost beast bodies on fire. The ghost beasts that were hit directly had their bodies split open. Soon after, he continued to condense light balls. Xiao Yuelon, Yang Kuei, and the others in the first floor saw the floating cloud pagoda attack and knew that Qin Yun had succeeded. Boom! Qin Yun attacked a second time and hit a large number of ghost beasts. Quickly disperse! Xie Tailing shouted. Qin Yun did not attack because those people could dodge or block. Moreover, their strength was relatively strong. Even if he hit them, he would not be able to injure them. After fighting for a while, Qin Yun killed many ghost beasts. These ghost beasts are not in groups now, they are alone. Xie Tailing and the others are cursing loudly outside, because they did not make Yang Kuei suffer any losses, but many of the ghost beasts he brought with him died. To them, this is a heavy loss. Moreover, they have a great advantage. Qin Yun did not want to waste his power. Seeing that the ghost beasts did not gather in groups, he walked down from the first floor. Xiao Yun, well done. It's a pity that you didn't kill many Xie Yang race people. Xiao Yuelon said, My strength is limited. Qin Yun sighed and said, If we want to kill them, we can only attack from the inside. Yang Kuei now also admires Qin Yun very much. His cultivation is not very high, but he made the great General Xie Tailing suffer a loss. Yang Kuei, I must kill all of you, especially that brat. I want to hack him into 1,000 pieces. Xie Tailing shouted in anger. He has never felt so sullen before. Stupid dog, Xie Tailing, other than barking, do you have no other ability? Hurry up and come bite me. Qin Yun laughed loudly. Chapter 1428. To catch a big fish, Xia Tailing was hundreds of meters away from the floating cloud pagoda. He punched out, and the black evil power turned into a giant fist that was dozens of meters long. In the blink of an eye, it crashed into the floating cloud pagoda. Rumble. The floating cloud pagoda was slightly shaken by the attack, but it was not a big deal. Yang Kuei heaved a sigh of relief. What he didn't know was that the floating cloud pagoda had been attacked by a few immortal kings from Sacred Desolate with their sacred weapons, but it still wasn't damaged. Annie Xiao, you play the zither, use the psychic sound wave attack. Qin Yun looked at Xiao Xianqin and said, Don't worry, I will control the sound waves and leave through the door and window. Stand by my side, Xiao Xianqin said. After she took out the 7-string jade zither, Qin Yun, Xiao Yuelon, Yang Kuei, and more than 10 people stood beside her. She gently stroked the 7-string jade zither, causing the strings to vibrate. Accompanied by the melodious music, the sound waves spread in all directions. This was a type of spiritual attack, and the range of the attack was very wide. Soon, the spiritual sound wave was transmitted through the floating cloud pagoda. What surprised Xiao Xianqin and Qin Yun was that after the mental power sound wave passed through the floating cloud pagoda, it actually became stronger. Qin Yun had previously tried using his mental power to attack outside the floating cloud pagoda, but there was no improvement. However, the mental energy sound waves released by Xiao Xianqin's 7-string jade zither were not only able to penetrate it, they were also strengthened by quite a bit. The ghost beasts outside the floating cloud pagoda suddenly let out all kinds of strange cries and rolled on the ground. Even the Xieyang race's people retreated. Their mental energy was not very strong and could not block Xiao Xianqin's mental sound waves. The ghost beasts did not know how to resist the mental power, so they all roared in pain. There's an effect. Aunt Xiao, can you further increase your strength? Qin Yun asked again. Sure. Xiao Xianqin's rhythm became even faster. The sound of the zither became even more rapid and fierce. It was extremely ear-piercing. The mental energy ripples that rippled out also became even faster and denser. What was even more frightening was that after the ripples spread out, they gradually turned into huge waves. The nearby ghost beasts all vomited blood and fainted on the ground. Many masked men in black clothes also felt extremely uncomfortable. Blood flowed out of their 7 apertures as they retreated one after another. Yang Kuei and the other members of the heart-protecting god tribe were also dumbfounded. The ghost beasts had been defeated, but there were still many Xieyang tribesmen who were still standing strong. At least 200 to 300 of them could still fight. Xiao Xianqin had consumed a lot of energy. After playing for a while, she also stopped to rest. Yang Kuei, who are those people? They're not from the heart-protecting god race. Xia Tailing shouted loudly. I know. Do they have sun-suppressing divine arrow? That's great. We'll definitely get the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Ha ha. Son of a bitch, you want my sun-suppressing divine arrow with that little ability of yours? Dream on. Qin Yun said with sneer. Take a piss and look at yourself. Do you think you are worthy of the sun-suppressing divine arrow? Damn, brat. I will make you die without a burial place. Xia Tailing was infuriated and punched the floating cloud pagoda again. The massive fist formed from black chi landed on the floating cloud pagoda, and black chi surged out. Although it exploded with a burst of loud sound, the floating cloud pagoda is completely fine. Qin Yun feels that it is necessary to increase the attack power of the floating cloud pagoda in the future. Although the floating cloud pagoda also has attack power, it is too weak. Xiao Yuelon said, Xiao Yun, don't you have the Lion King cannon? Lion King cannon. Qin Yun took out the Lion King cannon and said, I do have it, but it might not be able to kill that guy. Moreover, it needs to condense very strong power. Xiao Yuelon laughed. There are many Earth immortals here. Condensing their power should be enough, right? My Lion King cannon has not been modified. I am worried that it won't be able to endure even stronger energy. Qin Yun only soaked the Lion King cannon in the divine iron powder solution when he was refining the heaven and earth devil sealing goblet. The ninth heaven mysterious king saber is also the same. It has not been forged with divine iron powder, so its endurance is limited. However, the Lion King cannon has been fused with Immortal King beast horns, so its endurance is quite good. Qin Yun took out the Lion King cannon and said to Yang Quan, "Uncle Yang, you two join hands and release power. Pour it into the Lion King cannon." "All right." Yang Quan did as instructed. Qin Yun closed the door so that people outside can't see what they're doing. Then he began condensing power. Once he is done, he will attack. Qin Yun is carrying the Lion King cannon on his shoulder. Xiao Yuelon is guiding Yang Quan from the side. Yang Quan placed his hand on the Lion King cannon and poured his power into it. Originally, Qin Yun wanted Yang Quan and others to pour power into the cannon together, but he discovered that the Lion King cannon can't endure it all at once, so he can only let them take turns. Yang Quan and others took turns pouring earth immortal power into the cannon. Only when the Lion King cannon began trembling violently did Qin Yun promptly open the door. Xiao Yuelon said in low voice, "Don't attack that Xie Tailing. If he can block it, it will be a waste. Attack the other soldiers." Qin Yun originally wanted to attack Xie Tailing, but after hearing Xiao Yuelon's words, he immediately aimed at the black-clothed masked men in the distance. The Lion King cannon fired. A golden light flashed and landed on an area where there are many black-clothed masked men. Boom! Immediately, a burst of golden light, flickering energy flame enveloped the surrounding several hundred meters. All kinds of thunder and lightning flickered, creating burst of gale. Xie Tailing also saw the Lion King cannon just now, but he did not expect it to release such a berserk power. Xie Tailing looked at the place where the cannon hit in amazement. Yang Quan and others are also looking. After the golden energy flame disappeared, in the places that were hit, the bodies of dozens of people nearby were blasted into smithereens, while dozens of people were covered in cuts and bruises. Yang Quan is extremely excited. He laughed loudly and said, "Truly refreshing." He is very clear that this is all because of Qin Yun's Lion King cannon and Floating Cloud Pagoda's strong defense. That is why they can hide inside the pagoda and attack outside. Xiao Yuelon said with sneer, "Just a few more shots, and these idiots will be completely annihilated." Qin Yun promptly closed the door. Xie Tailing is extremely furious. He constantly cursed and madly attacked the Floating Cloud Pagoda. They besieged more than 10 people with such a large force. Victory was originally in their grasp. But now, not even a single hair has been lost while they have lost a large group of ghost beasts and dozens of people. Xie Tailing is a great general. If he told others about his losses, no one would believe it. "Everyone spread out. Don't gather together." Xie Tailing shouted. "They have spread out. It's not easy to attack." Xiao Yuelon said, "We have to think of another way." Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon secretly hated that their cultivation is too low. Otherwise, if they husband and wife joined hands and used sun-suppressing divine arrow, they would definitely be able to easily flatten all the people and ghost beasts outside. "Yuelon, give the meteor hammer to Uncle Yang. Let him use the meteor hammer and throw it out." Qin Yun said with mischievous smile. The chain of the meteor hammer can extend quite long. After throwing it out, use mental power to control it and tie up a person. Hearing this, Xiao Yuelon said with charming smile, "Xiao Yun, you want to bring Xie Tailing in?" "Yes." Qin Yun nodded and said with smile. Xiao Yuelon handed over the meteor hammer to Yang Quan. Yang Quan is secretly excited. He immediately swung it and practiced. He said, "If we bring Xie Tailing in, we will definitely be able to kill him if we join hands." Another middle-aged man said, "Little brother Qin, Miss Yuelon, Miss Xianqin, you two go up and hide first. Wait for us to bring Xie Tailing in and capture him, then you can come down. This way it will be safer. Yuelon and Xiao, you two go up. I want to stay here and control the barrier." Qin Yun pulled them to the round plate at the corner and sent them to the second floor. Qin Yun stood on the round plate. If Xie Tailing came in and acted recklessly, he could immediately teleport to the top and be very safe. Xie Taiming hollered from outside. He was extremely furious. Qin Yun closed the door and let Yang Kuei practice using the meteor hammer. Yang Kuei is a very strong earth immortal. Although he has never refined a meteor hammer before, after a short period of practice, he can master it quite well. It's done, Xie Tailing said. Qin Yun controlled the floating cloud pagoda and slowly rotated, aiming at Xie Tailing outside. I am preparing to open the door. Qin Yun shouted, 1, 2, 3. The door suddenly opened, and Yang Kuei fiercely threw the meteor hammer out. The head of the meteor hammer flew straight out like a beam of light, dragging the sturdy chain towards Xie Tailing. Although Xie Tailing is shocked in his heart, he sneered again and again in his heart. He very quickly dodged to the side and even grabbed the chain. At this time, Yang Kuei used his mental power to control the chain and tied Xie Tailing up. Although he only tied it up twice, it was enough to tie it up firmly enough to drag Xie Tailing in. Brothers, we caught a big fish. Quickly pull it up. Yang Kuei is extremely excited. If they could capture Xie Tailing alive, it would be a very shocking achievement. Xie Tailing turned pale with fright. He promptly retreated and shouted, "Quickly help me. Don't let them drag me in." He is very clear that if he was dragged in by himself, he would definitely be tormented to death by more than 10 large men. Yang Kuei, when did you become so despicable? Xie Tailing said angrily. If you have the guts, then fight fair and square. Don't you feel ashamed playing this kind of despicable trick? You Xie Yang race have played too many despicable tricks. What's wrong with us playing it once or twice? Yang Kuei laughed and vigorously pulled on the chain, dragging Xie Tailing in. There are also many people pulling on Xie Tailing's side, but Yang Kuei and his group strength is clearly greater. Although there are only a dozen or so people, when they're pulling, they are pouring power into the chain and sending it out. The Xie Yang race people are at a disadvantage when facing such pure power. After all, evil cannot win against good. The Xie Yang race only has an advantage when they have a large number of people. The Xie Yang race people grabbed the chain filled with all kinds of lightning and cried out in pain. Many people let go because their hands are smoking from the lightning. You bunch of good-for-nothings. Xie Tailing scolded his subordinates. He saw his body getting closer and closer to the door and felt despair in his heart. Chapter 1429. Protoss Divergent. Xie Tailing continuously struggled and screamed. The meteor hammer's chains sent waves of lightning into Xie Tailing's body, causing him great pain. As for the other Xie Yang race members who were stronger, they were all injured by the lightning on the chains and didn't dare to get close. You bunch of idiots, hurry up and save me. Xie Tailing had already been dragged to the entrance of the floating cloud pagoda, and he kept on shouting. Qin Yun stood on the disc in the corner. If anything happened, he would immediately teleport to the upper floor. Finally, the evil iron centipede touched the barrier at the entrance. Qin Yun hurriedly controlled the barrier to close temporarily. Yang Kuei and the others yelled in unison, dragging Xie Taimei in at one go. Then, Yang Kuei and the others rushed over and started punching and kicking Xie Taimei. Qin Yun hurriedly teleported to the second level. Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Xianqin are both there. Did you succeed? Xiao Yuelon said with a smile. At that moment, a series of explosions came from below the building. Yang Kuei and more than 10 people surrounded and beat Xie Taimei, causing him to scream miserably. They should have succeeded. Wait until the commotion below is not that big. Then we will go down and take a look. Qin Yun chuckled and said, Those Xie Yang race bastards have suffered a great loss this time. Xiao Xianqin had used up a lot of mental energy just now, and now she had slowly recovered. She chuckled and said, Xiao Yun, it's all thanks to your tower. Otherwise, I don't know what to do with Yang Kuei and the others. They might have been captured alive. That's right, that guy underestimated us before. Xiao Xianqin snorted lightly. He should know how powerful Xiao Yun is now. The commotion below became much smaller. Qin Yun also teleported down, while Xiao Xianqin and Xiao Yuelon were still above. After going down, Qin Yun saw that Xie Tianming's mask has already been knocked off. His face is swollen and his head is bleeding. His eyes were bloodshot, and his body was tied up by the meteor hammer's extendable chain. Xie Tailing was beaten up badly, but Yang Kuei and the others were also having a good time. After all, they were beating up a famous general of the Xieyang race. "Brother Qin, we have successfully captured this guy," Yang Kuei said with mischievous smile. Now he is very polite towards Qin Yun. The other Heart Protector Divine race's men also called him Brother Qin. Not only are they very polite to Qin Yun, they are also looking at him with respect. Qin Yun took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow and said with a smile, "Didn't this great general want to snatch my sun-suppressing divine arrow?" Xie Tailing saw the sun-suppressing divine arrow in Qin Yun's hand and cried out involuntarily, "Don't come over! Don't touch me! You bastard! You brought so many people and ghost beasts to surround us and ambush us, yet you still can't succeed." Qin Yun walked over with a sneer, and an arrow stabbed into Sietiello's body, causing Sietiello to scream miserably in fear because the sun-suppressing divine arrow's power is extremely terrifying. The heart-protecting God Race's tribe is being besieged. This guy is a hostage. He should still be useful. Yang Kuei smiled and said, "We will use this guy to threaten the evil Yang race and make them retreat." Xie Tailing was the kind of person who was afraid of death. He was lifted up by Yang Kuei and brought to the door. "Xieyang race, get the hell out of here. Scram back to your doghouse." Yang Kuei shouted at the people outside. "If you don't scram, I will kill your great general." The evil Yang race people outside are all extremely furious, but they can do nothing. They never expected that Yang Kuei's group would have such a powerful pagoda and even captured their great general. "All of you quickly leave," Xie Tailing shouted. The people outside all listened to Xie Tailing's words. After all, he is a great general. They can only retreat and stay away from the floating cloud pagoda. Qin Yun and company did not go out. Instead, they are waiting for those people to leave and for Xiao Xianqin to recover. "I wonder what is going on with the tribe." Yang Kuei let out a long sigh. In order to snatch the sun-suppressing divine arrow, those guys must have launched a big attack. Qin Yun kicked Xie Tailing on the ground and said with a smile, "Why don't we just ask this guy?" "Xie Tailing, how many people did you send to besiege your tribe?" Yang Kuei asked coldly. 10 great generals, each leading 100,000 army. I will be in charge of ambushing you." Xie Tailing said. 100,000 army? Qin Yun said with frown. Evil Yang race really has a lot of people. Adding ghost beasts. Xie Tailing is very afraid of Qin Yun. He can also see that Qin Yun's equipment is very strong. That's why Yang Kuei and company were able to turn the tables. Yang Kuei said, "If it's only this much, then we can still deal with it." It seems like the evil Yang race did not send out all their power. Xie Tailing said with bitter smile, "If we send out all our power and you fight to the death with us, won't we all perish together? You have 4 sun cores here. If they self-destruct, we will all be finished." "The sun core is so big. How do you plan to take it away?" Qin Yun asked. He feels that even he might not be able to easily take away the sun core. "I don't know. Clan elders have a way. They said that as long as we occupy the Heart Yang realm, we will have a way to control the sun core." Xie Tailing is very obedient now, because if he doesn't cooperate, he will be beaten up. Yang Kuei said, "We should just wait here. If they can't take down the tribe, they can only retreat in the end." Several hours later, Yang Kuei suddenly yelled, "Brother Qin, our tribe's people have arrived." Qin Yun looked through the window and saw a few dozen people riding flame horses. Their speed is very fast. When he looked over, those people were still far away, but not long after, they arrived near Star Traveling Pagoda. Yang Kuei and the others have already untied the meteor hammer and returned it to Qin Yun. Now they're using something else to tie up Xie Tailing. Xiao Yuelon and Xiao Xianqin also came down from above. Dozens of people arrived. All of them are large men wearing golden armor. They're the same as Yang Kuei. There are more than 10 Earth Immortals. The rest are very strong 9th layer Xian Immortals. General Su Hong. Yang Kuei promptly escorted Xie Tailing out and yelled, "Take a look. We have captured someone." General Xie Tailing? General Su Hong looked at Xie Tailing and said with frown, "Yang Kuei, quickly release him." Yang Kuei is very surprised. The smile on his face also disappeared. He said in deep voice, "Why should we release him? We have made peace with the Xie Yang race. Quickly release him. You have beaten him to this state. You will be held accountable when we return." Su Hong said with frown, "We were besieged by this guy and his people. We were almost killed. We spent a lot of effort to capture this guy. We cannot release him." Yang Kuei is very unconvinced and shouted loudly. The large men beside him are also very angry. Their expression is very gloomy. "Are you not listening to orders? Are you rebelling?" General Su Hong said angrily. "Hurry up and release him." "Yang Kuei, you injured him. You will be held accountable." Yang Kuei is gnashing his teeth in anger. He thought that capturing Xie Tailing would be a great contribution to his tribe, but now the higher-ups want him to release him and even want to hold him accountable. What made him most furious is that when they were besieged by Xie Tailing, if not for Qin Yun's floating cloud pagoda, they would have been captured and the sun-suppressing divine arrow would have fallen into the hands of the Xie Yang race. But now, not long after, they want to turn enemies into friends. Yang Kuei cannot accept this. Xie Tailing laughed loudly and said, "Yang Kuei, oh Yang Kuei, you originally wanted to capture me and show off your might, right? Now it's all over. I will definitely look into the matter of you beating me up before. The reason why you're seeking peace is because you are not our match. For peace, your elders will definitely punish you and also agree to my conditions." General Su Hong said, "General Xie Tailing, this is all our fault. Then why are you still not letting me go?" Xie Tailing furiously shouted, "I also want to beat them up, especially that brat. I want to kill him." General Su Hong got off his horse and shouted coldly at Yang Kuei, "Yang Kuei, quickly release him. If I release him, he will attack us, right?" Yang Kuei said coldly, "That's right. We will agree to whatever conditions he has." General Su Hong said, "Then if he wants the sun-suppressing divine arrow, we have to give it to him, right?" Yang Kuei asked again. "Of course we have to give it to him. We already agreed to give them 2 sun-suppressing divine arrow." General Su Hong said, "The 2 people you brought back just now have 2 sun-suppressing divine arrow in their hands, right?" Yang Kuei's expression turned cold. He roared and vigorously stabbed the sword in his hand into Xie Tailing's body. At the same time, the other 10 or so large men also pulled out their swords and stabbed Xie Tailing's body. "You," General Su Hong furiously shouted, rushed over and sent a palm attack towards Yang Kuei. However, the palm attack was blocked by the barrier of the door. "This guy is not dead yet," Qin Yun said coldly, then took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow and stabbed it into Xie Tailing's head. General Su Hong looked at Xie Tailing's exploded head. He is so angry that his entire body is trembling. His fists madly bombarded the floating cloud pagoda's barrier, causing rumbling sounds and explosions, but it is completely useless. Yang Kuei cannot accept that they have to give 2 sun-suppressing divine arrow to the Xie Yang race. Moreover, they are Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelan's sun-suppressing divine arrow. Furthermore, if they let Xie Tailing go, they will also be beaten up. What made them the most angry is that they dealt with Xie Tailing to protect themselves. But now that they have asked for peace, Xie Tailing has been injured, and they have to take responsibility. Just you wait. General Su Hong gritted his teeth and roared. He also knows that the floating cloud pagoda is very strong. He ferociously looked at Yang Kuei and others, then jumped on his flaming horse and left with his people. Qin Yun looked at Yang Kuei and asked, "Your tribe is truly cowardly. You actually want to give the sun-suppressing divine arrow to the enemy. You might as well just give them the Sun Core." Heart Protection Divine Tribe has 2 surnames, Yang Family and Su Family. Our Yang family lost the clan competition before, so the Heart Protection Divine Tribe's patriarch and elders are Sioux family's people. The matter of peace with Xie Yang race was also decided by them. Yang Kuei let out a long sigh. Brother Qin, don't worry. You were chosen by the sun-suppressing divine arrow. They can't do anything to you. I will take responsibility for killing Xie Tailing. Chapter 1430. Heart Protection Tribe Yang Kuei berated. Don't be stupid. Brother Qin and the others will have a lot of trouble in the future. Sioux family will definitely target them in secret. You must protect them well. After they enter the tribe, they are unfamiliar with the place, so they can only rely on you. Those dozen or so large men looked at Qin Yun and company. They also know that if they enter the tribe, they will need someone to take care of them. Because Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon have the sun-suppressing divine arrow, they have to go to the heart-protecting divine race's tribe to accomplish their mission. They don't want to die from the backlash of the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Originally, they only needed to hand over the sun-suppressing divine arrow, but they are unwilling to part with this divine tool. If they want to obtain this divine tool, they must compete with the heart protection divine race and win. Furthermore, after obtaining the sun-suppressing divine arrow, they must fight against the Xie Yang race. Xiao Yuelon said, Uncle Yang, they decided to give our sun-suppressing divine arrow to the Xie Yang race? Isn't this going against the faith of the sun-suppressing divine arrow? Didn't you say that you would give us a fair chance to compete and let us fight for the sun-suppressing divine arrow? Don't worry, Sioux family will definitely not directly give the sun-suppressing divine arrow to the Xie Yang race. My guess is that they will let the Xie Yang race participate in the competition. Yang Kuei said, At that time, our Yang family will definitely help you become stronger. Xiao Xianqin said, Will your Yang family also agree to give the sun-suppressing divine arrow to the Xie Yang race? At that time, Xiao Yun and Yuelon will be isolated in your tribe. What will you do? Absolutely impossible. I guarantee it with my life. Our Yang family and the Xie Yang race have a blood feud. Furthermore, we are the most orthodox heart protection divine race. We have always adhered to our clan's rules. Yang Kuei said very angrily. Instead, it is those bastards from the Sioux family who actually colluded with the Xie Yang race. Sioux family colluded with the Xie Yang race? Qin Yun is somewhat astonished. Is your heart protection divine race that dangerous? For many years, the Sioux family could not compete with us. Therefore, the patriarch and elders of the entire heart protection divine race are from our Yang family. Later on, our strongest warriors wanted to attack the Xie Yang race, but when they went out, they were ambushed by the Xie Yang race and suffered heavy casualties. It is the same for the Xie Yang race. Yang Kuei said while clenching his fists. His face is filled with anger. Did the Sioux family secretly collude with the Xie Yang race and make them send death warriors to perish together with your Yang family's powerful warriors? Xiao Yuelon said with a frown. We didn't think of it that way before, but now that we think about it, it's true. Our Yang family's first-rate warriors fought against the Xie Yang race and suffered heavy losses. That's why the Sioux family was able to win the competition and lead the entire Heart Protector Celestial tribe. Yang Kuei gritted his teeth. After those B** stars gained power, they secretly suppressed us. Now that the sun-suppressing divine arrow has appeared, they want to give it to the Xie Yang race. Xiao Xianqin sighed. The Sioux family must have agreed to some conditions of the Xie Yang race, which is why the Xie Yang race sent so many people to kill your Yang family's first-rate warriors. Those bastards. Yang Kuei was so angry that he punched the wall. Captain, are we just going to watch the Sioux family do whatever they want? A middle-aged man was also very angry and cursed the Sioux family a few times. If the Yang family starts a war with the Sioux family, then the evil Yang race will have a chance. Yang Kuei raised his head and sighed. Sioux family, why are they doing this? Don't tell me you're not willing to accept that our Yang family is stronger than them? When our Yang family was in charge of the heart-protecting God race, We did not mistreat them. The resources obtained by our Yang family disciples are not as much as their Su family. Yang Kuei suffered a heavy blow because they were betrayed by the Su family, but there was nothing they could do. Let's go to your tribe, Qin Yun said. Yang Jian nodded. They won't dare to kill me. At most, they can only imprison me. Qin Yun said, don't be afraid of them. Uncle Yang, you were in the right first. After all, we were besieged by Xie Taimeng. It is reasonable for us to retaliate. Let's go back and talk. Yang Kuei said, don't worry. You have the sun-suppressing divine arrow. The Su family won't dare to disobey the order of the sun-suppressing divine arrow. They must follow the procedure to decide the owner of the two sun-suppressing divine arrow. Xiao Yuelon said, we will definitely obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow and then eliminate the evil Yang race. I believe in you. Yang Kuei smiled at Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon. He now knows that Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon are not simple. After walking out of the floating cloud pagoda, Qin Yun stored the pagoda and headed towards the heart-protecting God Race tribe. Half a day later, they finally arrived outside the heart-protecting God Race tribe. This God Race tribe is a small city without city walls. There are many rather ancient stone houses inside. In the middle, there is a several hundred-meter wide road that divides the small city into two. The God Race tribe's small city is a huge circular area. With the big road in the middle as the boundary, the Su family and the Yang family are separated. Although there are no tall walls, there are 4 sun cores above the center of the tribe. They released a barrier that formed a barrier that enveloped the entire tribe. The barrier that enveloped the tribe is very powerful. As long as there is no problem with the sun cores, it is basically impossible to break through the tribe. Moreover, the space around the tribe is very stable. It requires even stronger power to tear open the space. Although Yang family and Su family's buildings are all stone houses, they are still somewhat different. Yang family stone houses are mainly square, while Su families are mainly round. Yang family side has many flowers, plants, trees, artificial mountains, rivers, and other things. Su family has no such thing. Instead, they have many beast battle arenas and battle stages, giving people a very warlike feeling. After passing through the barrier, Qin Yun and others immediately sensed a very strong, baleful aura coming from the Su family. Moreover, from time to time, beast roars can be heard from that side, as well as all kinds of battle tremors, or even the sound of a large group of people shouting crazily. Su family truly gives people a very valiant and ferocious feeling. Qin Yun said, they have always been like this. Back then, our Yang family was not as crazy as them, but we always beat them in every competition. Yang Kuei said very disdainfully. After entering the barrier, a large group of people appeared on the main road. They mainly have powerful earth immortal aura. They should be the elders of the Yang family and Su family. And in front of them, there is a group of large men riding flame horses. They are none other than General Su Hong from before. Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon are holding sun-suppressing divine arrows in their hands. Their expressions are indifferent. They are not suppressed by the powerful auras of the two families. Yang Kuei and the others, why aren't you kneeling down? Su Hong said angrily. Yang Kuei really wanted to scold Su Hong, but he did not open his mouth. After all, the other party has the title of Great General. He doesn't dare to scold him, or else the elders present would be able to use it against him. Our Yang family disciples don't know how to kneel and have never knelt before anyone. I asked General Su Hong to demonstrate. An old man from a Yang family said with a faint smile. They are all wearing white robes, and their overall temperament is very refreshing. They give people a feeling that they have the demeanor of an immortal. On the Su family side, everyone is wearing armor. Each and every one of them looks very valiant and ferocious. They all have weapons in their hands, as if they are ready to fight at any time. When the Yang family and Su family arrived and saw the sun-suppressing divine arrows in Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon's hands, their faces revealed looks of joy. Yang Kuei promptly brought Xiao Yuelon and Qin Yun towards the Yang family group. Patriarch, this little brother is Qin Yun, and this is his wife, Xiao Yuelon. This young lady is accompanying and escorting them. Little Miss Xiao Xianqin. Yang Kuei introduced the Yang family patriarch to Qin Yun and the others. Greetings, Yang family patriarch. Qin Yun and the others also politely greeted. The Yang family patriarch's name is Yang Tianhen. He is a very kind-looking and amiable old man. He has long beard and white hair. Although he is an old man, he does not give people the feeling of being old. He is a very powerful earth immortal. No need to be polite, Yang Tianhen said with smile. A tall and robust old man from the Su family shouted coldly. Yang Kuei and that brat killed Xie Taiming. It will be hard for us to explain this to the Xie Yang race. Your Yang family better hand over Yang Kuei and that brat to appease the anger of the Xie Yang race. That tall and robust old man is wearing black armor and looks very fierce. He is the patriarch of the Su family and also the patriarch of the Heart Protection Divine race. His name is Su Tiangao. Yang Tianhen said with a faint smile. This little brother has the sun-suppressing divine arrow. His sun-suppressing divine arrow is very protective of its master. If you have the guts, give him to the Xie Yang race and see if the sun-suppressing divine arrow will pierce through your head. After Yang Tianhen spoke, he pushed Qin Yun out. Take this brat away and give him to the Xie Yang race to deal with. I don't care what happens, Yang Tianhen said again. Su Tiangao gritted his teeth and said, Fine, we don't want that brat. But what about Yang Kuei? He caught Xie Taiming. We have already coexisted peacefully with the Xie Yang race, but he actually did such a thing. Negotiating peace with the Xie Yang race is such an important matter. You didn't discuss it with our Yang family. Our Yang family doesn't even know about it, and we also oppose it. The smile on Yang Tianhen's face suddenly disappeared, and he said coldly, Now that we accidentally killed a general of the Xie Yang race, you still blame us. Yang Tianhen, our Su family, is now the leader of the Heart Protection Divine race. All of our decisions are to protect the sun's heart. I am the patriarch. My decisions have nothing to do with you. Why should I discuss it with you? Su Tiangao sneered. So, Yang Kuei doesn't know about the peace negotiations. He killed Xie Taiming while you were negotiating. Why blame him? Yang Tianhen said with a sneer. I've already said this matter very clearly before. Su Hong said loudly. I went to the scene and informed Yang Kuei, but he still killed Xie Taiming. Su Tiangao looked at Yang Tianhen and said with a sneer, What else do you have to say? Qin Yun suddenly said, Negotiating peace with the Xie Yang race is not normal. Therefore, Uncle Yang Kuei did not believe General Su Hong's side of the story. He thought that General Su Hong wanted to trick Xie Taiming into his hands and then come back to claim credit. Xie Taiming is a great general. Uncle Yang Kuei captured him with great difficulty. This is a very great contribution. It is very normal for great General Su Hong to want to seize the credit. Xiao Yuelon said coldly. Uncle Yang Kuei really wanted to bring Xie Taiming back to claim credit. How could he bear to kill him? It was only because General Su Hong forced him too hard that he decided to just kill Xie Taiming. This way, no one can get credit. Chapter 1431. A competition beset with difficulties hearing Qin Yun's words. The dozens of people from the Yang family all looked at Su Hong with angry expressions. Su Hong opened his eyes wide and looked at Qin Yun. He furiously said, This brat's mouth is full of nonsense. I never said those words. I also never had the thought of snatching Xie Tianming's credit. They made it up. General Su Hong, if not for your vile attitude, Uncle Yang Kuei would not have been forced to kill by you. Qin Yun sighed and said, The possibility of negotiating peace with the Xie Yang race is too low. You, a general, came to Uncle Yang Kuei and told him that you were negotiating with the Xie Yang race, and then asked him for the Xie Tai Ho. Shouldn't he think that you're lying? Xiao Yuelon continued. Su family, this is your fault. If the head of the Su family came to find Uncle Yang Kuei, he would definitely believe him. Otherwise, who would have thought that the powerful heart-protecting celestial race would submit to the Xie race and even agree to their terms like dogs? Yang Tianhen chuckled. Lord, looks like this is your fault. To be honest, when you told me that you had already made peace, I thought you were joking. Not to mention Yang Kuei, who was besieged and almost lost his life. Su Tiangao's face turned ugly while Su Hong gritted his teeth in anger. Qin Yin said again, this is your Su family's fault. He did not communicate well with Uncle Yang Kuei, and his attitude was terrible. He was basically forcing Uncle Yang Kuei to make a move. Your Su family should throw Su Hong to the Xie race to appease their anger. Xiao Yuelon said with sneer, Su family, you are the leader of the entire Heart Protector Divine race. You have to consider the overall situation. Just sacrifice General Su Hong and hand him over to the Xie race. General Su Hong, for General Xie Taiyan's life, this was more equal. If we hand Uncle Yang Kuei over, the Xie race will definitely be unhappy. Shut up, Su Hong raged. Yang Kuei also admired Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon. Facing Su Tiangao and his group of fierce experts, the husband and wife sang the same tune, pushing all the blame onto the Su family. What they said was very reasonable. Qin Yun said with mischievous smile, Su Hong, you should have seen it with your own eyes. I was the one who killed Xie Tailing. This is my fault. If you have the guts, hand me over to the Xie race. Su Tiangao could already tell that the two youngsters who obtained the sun-suppressing divine arrows were very capable. To be honest, they had long known that Yang Kuei had been besieged. They had thought that Yang Kuei was doomed, but they hadn't expected that Xie Tailing would be captured and killed. Moreover, the ghost beasts and soldiers led by Xie Tailing had suffered heavy casualties. In the end, I was the one who killed Xie Taimang. Qin Yin shook the sun-suppressing divine arrow in his hand and said, I was the one who used the sun-suppressing divine arrow to pierce through Xie Taiho's head. Tell that to the Xie race. A middle-aged man from the Yang family shouted, Su Hong, didn't you say before that you wanted to kill the men of the Yang family? And you want to turn our Yang family's women into female slaves? Absolutely not, Su Hong said. General Su Hong, to think that you are still a man. You dare to say it, but don't dare to admit it. Qin Yun smiled and said, General Su Hong also said that he will join hands with the Xie race to exterminate the Yang family and then split the Sun Corps. Shut up, Su Hong roared. Young man, don't speak nonsense. You're trying to sow discord between our two families. What are your intentions? Su Tiangao angrily rebuked. Don't think that just because you have the sun-suppressing divine arrow in your hands, you can do whatever you want here. Qin Yin said with a smile. I am not speaking nonsense. Su Hong indeed said that. The faces of the Yang family's people are incomparably gloomy as they looked at the Su family's people. Actually, the Yang family had already thought that the Su family and the Xie race had secretly joined hands. Moreover, it had started a long time ago to trick their group of first-rate warriors. Qin Yin felt that because the Yang family's people were too strong and they only saw the Xie race as their enemy, they did not guard against the Su family. They also never played any tricks, otherwise they would have seen through the Su family scheme long ago. All right, the matter of killing Xie Taimang is over. We will set it as a matter before the peace talks. The Xie race can't say anything about us. Su Tiangao said coldly. He was truly a bit worried that Su Hong would be targeted by the Xie race. He could already see that Qin Yun's mouth was very powerful. He would definitely spread rumors everywhere. Su Hong's eyes turned red from anger. He wanted nothing more than to bite Qin Yun to death. The person with the sun-suppressing divine arrow has come to the tribe. We will give them 3 months' time. 3 months later, according to the rules, they will compete with our heart-protecting divine race and the Xie race to decide the ownership of the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Su Tiangao said again. All right, it will begin in 3 months. Yang Tianhen nodded. Su Hong glared at Qin Yun and said with sneer, "This guy is just a Xian immortal. Can he compete with us? They won't be able to improve much in 3 months. Ha! If the sun-suppressing divine arrow doesn't belong to our Su family, then it belongs to the Xie Yang race." Yang Kuei looked at Yang Tianhin and asked, "Patriarch, will our Yang family not participate? That little girl and Qin Long have already belonged to our Yang family. It is equivalent to our Yang family obtaining the sun-suppressing divine arrow, so we can't participate." Yang Tianhin said, "Don't worry, there are still 3 months." Su Tiangao laughed loudly. "Just wait and see." The Su family people left. Yang Kuei is fine, but the Yang family people are not happy. Negotiating peace with the Xie Yang race and letting them participate in the competition for the ownership of the sun-suppressing divine arrow made the Yang family people very angry. An old woman cursed in low voice. "Su family people actually betrayed the sun's heart. Are they not afraid of being punished?" Yang Tianhin said, "Don't worry. We have already welcomed the sun-suppressing divine arrow. The Xie Yang race will definitely be exterminated in the end. The Su family betrayed the sun's heart. They will be severely punished." Yang Kuei also promptly thanked Xinyan. At this moment, the Yang family people are all talking at the same time, asking Yang Kuei how he captured Xie Taiming, because in their opinion, it is simply impossible. After all, Xie Taiming is a great general. Yang Kuei did not say much. After all, there are too many people. He doesn't want too many people to know how powerful Qin Yun is, lest the Su family pay more attention to Qin Yun. Qin Yun also asked Qin Long and Xie Qiru. He is astonished to find out that they are inside the sun's heart. After obtaining the sun-suppressing divine arrow, one can enter the sun's heart to cultivate and become even stronger. As for Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon, they still don't have the true sun-suppressing divine arrow, so they can't enter the sun's heart. If the Su family and the Xie Yang race can obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow, they can also enter the sun's heart to cultivate. This is something the Yang family doesn't want to see, especially the Xie Yang race people. Once they enter, it will be a disaster. Qin Yun, Xiao Yuelon, and Xiao Xianqin have been arranged to stay in a quiet courtyard. They also saw the Yang family people. They're all pretty good. In order to prevent the Su family and the Xie Yang race from obtaining the sun-suppressing divine arrow, the Yang family will definitely make them stronger and obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Yang Kuei and Yang Tianhin are sitting in a pavilion in the courtyard. Qin Yun, Xiao Yuelon, and Xiao Xianqin are also at the side. There is no night or stars in the Heart Yang realm because this is an independent large space. Yang Tianhin's expression is grave as he said, "The strongest participating in the competition for the sun-suppressing divine arrow can only be a first-layer Earth immortal. Surpassing this cultivation level, you can't participate. Little brother Qin and Miss Yuelon, both of you are only first-layer mystic immortals. It will be very difficult for you to become Earth immortals in 3 months." Yang Xian sighed. "Our Yang family cannot participate, so it's all up to you to stop the Xie Yang race and Su family from obtaining the sun-suppressing divine arrow. Why is it only a first firmament Earth immortal?" asked Qin Yun. "After obtaining the sun-suppressing divine arrow, I'll enter the heart of the sun to cultivate and reach the 9th level of the Earth's celestial stage. It is very powerful to cultivate from the 1st to the 9th earthly immortal stage. Only then can one control the true power of the sun-suppressing divine arrow." Yang Tianhin said, "If a 2nd or 3rd stage Earth immortal went in and cultivated to the 9th stage Earth immortal realm, they might not be able to control the sun-suppressing divine arrow in the end." Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon are alarmed. They never expected that the sun-suppressing divine arrow would still have such a strong power. Yang Tianhin laughed. "The sun-suppressing divine arrow in your hands is only a very strong weapon now. The sun-suppressing divine arrow also has other abilities, which can only be obtained by refining the sun-suppressing divine arrow. To refine the sun-suppressing divine arrow, You also need to enter the heart of the sun and use the energy obtained from the heart of the sun. Then when are we going to start cultivating? Hurry up, Qin Yun said. Speaking of this matter, Yang Tianhen felt somewhat helpless. He shook his head and sighed. We don't have many resources in our hands. The divine power released by the heart of the sun will allow us to obtain some divine fruits every once in a while. However, our Yang family doesn't have many divine fruits, and the next distribution will be in half a year. Patriarch, why is the Su family treating us so badly? When our Yang family was in power, we gave them a lot of resources, but now they're giving us so little. Yang Yini is very angry. I always thought that the Su family was only angry because they were inferior to us for many years. I never expected that they would collude with the Xie Yang race. Yang Tianhen let out a long sigh and said, We still have some divine fruits in our hands. We will increase as much as we can. We will think of a way to deal with the rest. Qin Yun asked, Yang family patriarch, do you have a way to make a soul become a saint-level soul? I've also observed them before and discovered that Uncle Yang and the others all have saint-tier souls and saint-tier bodies. How did they manage to cultivate this? Little brother Qin, you should have also cultivated saint body, right? And your soul is also abnormally strong. You don't need to cultivate anymore. Yang Tian'en laughed. Miss Yuelon is also very strong. Both her body and soul are very strong. Qin Yin looked at Xiao Xianqin and said, What I mean is I want you to help my Aunt Xiao cultivate her soul. After her soul becomes stronger, it will be helpful to my cultivation. Really? Yang Tianhen is somewhat doubtful. How? Chapter 1432. Divinity, Succession. Xiao Xianqin also knew about the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra. She guessed that Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon were preparing to use the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra to cultivate. When cultivating together, the more women there were, the better the effect would be. That's not a problem. Yang Tian'en said, We have a secret technique that can allow Miss Xianqin to quickly cultivate saint-level soul. If it's possible, then Yuelon and I can use our limited resources to become stronger in a short period of time. Qin Yun said, Although I might not be able to become an earth immortal, as long as my cultivation is higher, there will be more hope. Xiao Yuelon nodded and said, Yes. No matter what, we cannot let the sun-suppressing divine arrow fall into the hands of those scoundrels. Qin Yun also found it odd. Why was he unable to contact the spirit in the sun-suppressing divine arrow? If he could communicate with it, it might be fine. How long will it take? Xiao Xianqin asked. She also wanted to recover her memories and know what had happened between her and Qin Yun. It will take at least a month, Yang Tian'en said. There's no time to lose. Let's start now. I will arrange for Grandma Yang Xin to take you to cultivate. Thank you. Xiao Xianqin nodded. Qin Yun feels that after Qin Long and Xie Karu cultivate in the Sun Heart, they will definitely cultivate sacred level soul and recover their memories. Yang Tian'en called a young girl over and took Xiao Xianqin away. Then a few old men walked over, carrying a box. After opening the box, there were many crystal-like fruits inside. This is the divine fruit? Asked Qin Yun. Yes. Miss Xianqin still needs a month to cultivate sacred level soul. You guys should start cultivating this month. You must hurry up, Yang Tian'en said. If you want to obtain the sun-suppressing divine arrow, you must work hard. Of course, Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon want the sun-suppressing divine arrow. It is a very powerful divine tool. All right, let's go cultivate immediately. Qin Yun nodded, then took out the floating cloud pagoda and placed it in the courtyard. It would be safer inside the floating cloud pagoda, and no one would disturb them. After Yang Ke and Yang Tian'en, Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon also arrived at the 20th floor of the floating cloud pagoda. They didn't start cultivating immediately. Xiao Yuelon picked up the small statue on the star god altar. She also knows about this floating cloud pagoda. She also knows that immortal King Fuyun might have a very strong past life. Xiao Yun, Do you think we can contact the star god here? Xiao Yuelon asked. I don't know. We can't see the stars here, so we might not be able to contact them. Besides, she's probably being hunted right now. Qin Yin shook his head. If we can contact her and have her send something over, we might have a chance to become stronger in 3 months. Xiao Yuelon looked at the box of divine fruits and curled her lips. The Yang family is really at the end of the line. They only have these few divine fruits, and the quality seems to be very poor. This kind of divine fruit is different from the ones found in Immortal Desolate. Qin Yin picked one up and looked at it. It looks exactly like Suncore. Xiao Yuelon said with a look of disdain. These fellows from the Yang family are too stupid. The Su family's plot is so simple, yet they only discovered it now. If they had discovered it earlier, they wouldn't have ended up like this. Indeed, if they had discovered it earlier, they might have been able to lay their cards on the table with the Su family and obtain more resources to make them stronger. That way, they would have been able to turn the tables. Qin Yin smiled. It's useless to say all this now. We can only rely on us. Xiao Yuelon said with a smile. Xiao Yun, even if Aunt doesn't recover her memories, she can still cultivate with you, right? She trusts you a lot. It's hard to say. Aunt Xiao still has some doubts about me in her heart. Because she lost a portion of her memories about me, she will be suspicious. Any kind of suspicion will lead to distrust. Qin Yun said with a stern expression. Therefore, she must remember everything that happened with me in order to make her trust me. Xiao Yuelon nodded and said with a smile, Sister Bingxing hates you, but she can still cultivate with you. It can be seen that she still trusts you in her heart, and should be the same. You little scoundrel, back then you befriended so many Guanghan Palace disciples just to cultivate the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra. Qin Yin curled his lips and said, But in the end, I'm only an immortal king. I still can't become an immortal emperor, right? At this moment, he is also fiddling with the Star God altar. The Star God altar has become very small. It is placed there like an altar. There's a pearl on top of it. There's a wisp of Star God's divine soul inside. Divine Desolate's most beautiful elder sister Star God. Can you hear my voice? Qin Yin said lazily. Xiao Yun, didn't you call Sister Rujing the most beautiful ice and snow goddess in the Divine Desolate? Xiao Yuelon burst into laughter and said, In order to curry favor with these goddesses, you're saying things that are not sincere. Yuelon, actually you're the most beautiful in my heart. Qin Yin giggled and said, Don't be so talkative. You say that to every woman. Xiao Yuelon laughed and pinched Qin Yun's hand. Just at this moment, the star god altar suddenly emitted a trace of divine light, and the charming and bewitching figure of the star god appeared. That overflowing seductive jade face carried a hint of anger, and her angry appearance also had a kind of charm that was pleasing to the eye. Xiao Yun, quickly tell me, who is the most beautiful person in the Divine Desolate? Star God placed her hands on her hips and said coquettishly, Divine Desolate's most beautiful elder sister Star God. Didn't I just say it? Qin Yun laughed and said, Elder sister Star God, you are the most beautiful in the Divine Desolate. You're not allowed to say that to little sister Ice and Snow in the future. Do you understand? You must call her the second most beautiful in the Divine Desolate. Remember, otherwise I will ignore you. Star God acted coquettishly and said in a light voice. Qin Yin promptly nodded. Elder sister Star God, I finally meet you. You are as beautiful as Xiao Tian. Xiao Yuelon said with a smile. I am Xiao Yun's wife, Xiao Yuelon. In Xiao Yun's heart, you're the most beautiful. You are truly very beautiful. Star God extended her hand, wanting to caress Xiao Yuelon's cheek, but she can't touch it because she is just an illusion. I thought I couldn't contact you, Qin Yin said doubtfully. I can't see stars at all from where I am. You are in the Heart Yang realm, right? Star God said with a smile. If you're in the Heart Yang realm, it is rather easy to connect because the Heart Yang realm is surrounded by Immortal Desolate, Sacred Desolate, and Divine Desolate. The space is quite similar to the Divine Desolate. Qin Yin picked up his small statue and said, Elder Sister Star God, you should tell me about this matter. What the hell is going on in my previous life? Speaking of this matter, she immediately became serious and said softly, Xiao Yun, how much do you know about the gods of the divine desolate? Qin Yun thought for a moment and said, I know that there are many gods in the divine desolate. Dragon god, evil god, nether god, fire god, water god, and so on, ice and snow goddess, and the most beautiful elder sister star god. Then do you know how we gods came to be? Star god asked again. I asked evil god before, but he didn't say. Qin Yun said, divine position inheritance. We were lucky enough to obtain the divine position inheritance, which is why we can contact the lower realms, have the lower realms build altars for us, carry out sacrifices for us, allowing us to obtain even more natural force and become even stronger. The star deity said, then what does this have to do with my previous life? Qin Yun shook the small statue in his hand. Do you know who the strongest god in the divine desolate is? Star god asked. I don't know. Qin Yun said with a frown. The divine desolate's god list ranking is not reliable at all because the two strongest gods are missing, the moon god and the sun god. The sun god is the god of the 9 suns, the king of all gods in the 9 desolate. Star god sighed and said, the moon god and the sun god's divine position has never been passed down. The main reason is because we haven't found a suitable candidate. Qin Yun had heard about the moon god before. There was a moon in the divine desolate, but it was very different from the immortal desolate. Xiao Yuelon said with a frown, Elder sister star god, was Xiao Yun's previous life the sun god, the king of all gods? It shouldn't be, but he was one of the candidates for inheritance. Legend has it that there are several inheritors of the sun god. They all enter the 9 suns to undergo trials, and after passing the trials, they can obtain the divine position inheritance. Star god said, I suspect that Xiao Yun's previous life was one of the inheritors. Because he didn't pass the trial, he died or something else happened. Qin Yun looked at his statue and said in shock, Is this true? Star god sighed and said, This is only my rough guess. In short, this pagoda and statue of yours came out from the sun, so they are related to the sun god. Even if they are not inheritors, they are still important people by the inheritor's side. The matter of the sacred desolate is very complicated. I can't explain it in a few words. In short, those fellows from a 9 sun sects are still fighting over the sun god's divine position. The 9 sun sects were built by the 9 sun god candidates. Qin Yun thought of the sun altar in Floating Cloud City. There were 9 sun sects, and one of them was destroyed very early on. Therefore, when the sun altar descended, there were only 8 of them. The other one was in Floating Cloud City. Qin Yun now recalled that his previous life, immortal king, Floating Cloud, must have known that he was related to the sun god inheritor. That's why he obtained the lost 18-layer altar. Big sister star god, we encountered some difficulties in the Heart Yang realm. Can you help us? Xiao Yuelon took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow and told Star God about the situation of the heart-protecting divine race. After Star God finished listening, she said, I can only temporarily provide you with divine liquid. Is it useful to you? It's useful, Qin Yun promptly said. The more the better. Divine liquid can be absorbed by the sacred infant fruit. The energy released by the sacred infant fruit is very useful and can quickly increase cultivation. All right, I will temporarily provide you with divine liquid. After I settle down, I will provide you with even better resources. Star God said with bitter smile, My current situation is not good. The Dao Yang divine sect is chasing me. It's been hard on Big Sister Star God. Xiao Yuelon said with smile, We will definitely work hard to become stronger and repay you in the future. Star God laughed and then let Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon take out the divine liquid. Late at night, Star God directly condensed the divine liquid. Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelon took out a large vat to receive it. 17-layer altar is truly awesome. Moreover, Big Sister Star God's divine liquid is also of very high quality. After Qin Yun received the vat, he exclaimed in admiration and said, It is much better than that evil gods. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.